Little devil. What kind of eyes do you have? Believe it or not, I will kill you. Tsunade clenched his fists and looked badly. Hey, Master Tsunade, your eyes don't look like you're going to learn to be defensive. Shizune kindly came out to make a rescue. Anyway, she said that many times, and she didn't care that Tsunade was angry. Tsunade glanced at her, then looked at Kyochi, noticed that the two had similar eyes, closed his fists and snorted coldly and said, gambling is a sacred business, and it is an insult to my personality. I believe it. Kyochi handed the cards back to Shizune, and said something quietly. Tsunade's face brightened. She smiled and said, however, I don't spend money, but I can observe others. If there is someone who is not good at money in front of me, can I catch him and ask him to pay me back the money? Silent. Shizune looked at Tsunade in astonishment after hearing this, and thought for a few seconds, but couldn't find any flaws. But the next moment, Kyochi said contemptuously, aren't you thinking too much? As far as your luck is concerned, anyone who knows your name will not make a fortune. Little devil, do you want to fight? Boom. With one punch, the mountain wall beside the road cracked. Tsunade had a bad look on his face. What this says? Don't need to pay 1,000? You can make your own money with your eyes closed, right? This kid challenged his gambling skills repeatedly, and he didn't take his Sanin name seriously. If you don't believe me, we can gamble. The easiest way is to guess some cards. Kyochi reached out and took the deck back. HMPH, kid, I'll let you know that my Tsunadeji's money is not so easy to win. Just beside the road. The two began to deal the cards. Shizune watched dumbfounded. What is this unfolding? She stared at the hand and saw that Kyochi didn't draw at all, but put 2 cards on the ground. Tsunade finished with a smile on his face. Don't you look at it? You must win. Don't look at it, just drive it later. Silent. Hateful. The corner of Tsunade's mouth twitched, wishing he could kill the kid with one punch. It's so irritating. She then signaled Kyochi to turn it on. Kyochi flipped the 2 cards over. Tsunade glanced at his hand. Then, she silently put the cards in the pile. Come again. Silent. Come again. Silent. Damn it, is your kid out of luck? 3 innings. Kyochi didn't check at all, but it always ended up being higher than Tsunade, much to Tsunade's annoyance. It's this kid who's gone out of his way. It must not be my problem. Hee. Do you need it? Besides, you are Sanin, can't you see if I am cheating? Kyochi smiled. This is how the ghost gambles. She always suspects that others are out of luck. In fact, she is just unlucky. Impossible. Tsunade's eyes were cloudy. Kyochi stood up and said, nothing, Shizune, you play a few rounds with Master Tsunade. Me? I won't. Shizune's expression was dull. It doesn't matter, you don't need to know how to play with Master Tsunade. Tsunade tilted his head, his pretty face full of murderous intent. Shizune was ashamed. She really started to play. After a while. Stop playing, it's boring. Tsunade threw the cards away, kneeling all 5 rounds. The key is, the opponent doesn't know how to play at all, and after drawing the cards, she has to let her see the size, but every time she loses, it's so annoying. Look, I'm not wrong, Mr. Tsunade. According to me, if you want to arrest someone, you can pay $1,000. Just don't bet on yourself. Otherwise, whoever you bet with will have to pay $1,000. Silent. Makes sense. After losing money by yourself, wouldn't it be enough to watch and catch thousands? When the time comes, the casino will have to thank itself if they don't say anything wrong. Certainly. It would be even better if the casino cheated secretly, and he could directly blackmail the casino. Tsunade is very religious about gambling and disdains to do that kind of sneaky things, but these are not gambling, but a means of making money to pay off debts. Wonderful. She was so happy that she completely forgot the meaning of Kyochi's words. Bad luck? Isn't this common sense? Tsunade also knows that her gambling luck is very weird. If she really wins, she will have to worry about it. Gambling outside, in addition to satisfying one's own preferences, another reason is to know whether the people you care about are safe through gambling. Till this moment. After leaving the village, I haven't won once. By the way, is there any other way to make money and avoid debt? Tsunade's eyes lit up. This kid doesn't seem to be interested in these heretics, but he still knows a lot. Kyochi was silent for a moment after hearing this, and then said, have you considered having a pet? Pets? Why keep them? We can't get enough to eat ourselves. Shizune said pitifully, I really can't get enough. It's hard to earn some back, but Tsunade will gamble it away after a few days. Now the two people's daily needs are all earned by Shizune himself with medical ninjutsu. Stupid. Pets are also property. If someone comes to ask for money, if I give him the pet, won't I be able to repay the debt? Then let it run back. Yes, it's perfect. But such pets need to be trained, preferably chakra. Tsunade's brain was active, and he quickly thought of a whole set of methods. Sanin are smart people. Kyochi nodded, feeling a little weird at the same time. This development. Didn't I persuade her not to gamble? Never mind. I can't persuade you. After all, Tsunade gambles, not just for the sake of gambling. He sighed. At this moment, the system prompt sounded. Kyochi froze for a moment. He summoned the system. In the task record, there is one item that has not been read. This is the task reward for Shisui and the others after completing the actual combat. Complete the teaching of practical combat and will of fire. Evaluation. Excellent. Reward. Illusion darkness technique. However, the next one left him speechless for a while. Complete the lectures of 1,000 techniques and repaying debts. Evaluation. Good. Reward. Nervous system rupture? That's okay too. This trick is quite useful. Okay. Although the subjects taught are a bit weird. He glanced at Tsunade, feeling a burst of emotion in his heart. Tsunade stood on the edge of the railing, looking into the distance, sighed suddenly, and said, "Boy, if you have a hard time in the village in the future, you might as well come out and find me. Don't die." "Don't worry, I understand." Kyochi waved his hand. He naturally knew what Tsunade meant. Konoha seems to be friendly, and the Senju family is a great hero to Konoha, but it is not. Not to mention Sarutobi Hiruzen, the secret Danzo seems to suppress and guard against the Senju family a lot. Tsunade understands, just doesn't say anything. Now that Kyochi has awakened Senju's physique and has become a Jonin again, once he makes achievements in the war and his prestige increases in the future, it may not be possible for him to compete for the 4th generation goal. But will Sarutobi Hiruzen, Danzo agree? Tsunade feels. Not too possible. The old man didn't really regard Kyochi as one of his own, otherwise he wouldn't have gone to such pains to let himself meet Kyochi. She patted Kyochi on the shoulder and said, "You are also my younger brother. I will cover you. As long as you are not rebellious, no one will dare to say no when you leave the village. If there is such a day, it will. Shizune, you can't talk about these words in the future." Tsunade was uncommonly serious. Shizune nodded. Although Tsunade didn't admit it, but she is Tsunade's apprentice. These words are spread out to be very bad for Tsunade and Kyochi, so she naturally dare not speak nonsense. "Little devil, I'm leaving. Tell the old man not to look for me, I'm not planning to go back anyway." Leave without a meal? Kyochi was a little bit reluctant. Tsunade was very rude to him, but it was this kind of rudeness that made him feel like he had met his relatives. Only when he met his relatives could he be so heart to heart. "TCH, do you think I really have no money for food?" Tsunade waved his hand, looking free and easy, indifferent. On the back of the green clothes, the huge gambling character was very eye-catching. Kyochi didn't hold back. Now Mu Yi Fengyu is precarious, a Tsunade concubine who is afraid of blood. Maybe it is a good thing to leave. Kyochi looked down, lost in thought at the key in his hand. After a while, he gripped the key tightly, put it in the ninja bag, and turned to Shisui and the others. On the hills of Baiyun town, Tsunade stood on a high place, looking at Kyochi's back. Her eyes were full of complicated emotions, until Kyochi disappeared behind the wall. She sighed. If Nawaki was still alive, he might have become a Jonin too. Is he similar to Nawaki? Shizune is curious. No, he's more like Nidame, like Nawaki. Tsunade shook her head. But she would unconsciously think of Nawaki. After all, Nawaki is not much older than Kyochi. The age difference is not too big. However, I'm just emotional. Master Tsunade, you said before that Konoha's situation is more dangerous now, and it is very likely that other ninja villages will also attack and try. If war really breaks out again, will you go back? Asked Shizune. The war with Sanagakure is over. But according to Tsunade, this is just the beginning. Since the death of Senju Tobarama, the large and small battles between Konoha and other ninja villages have not stopped. Although Sanin's battle with Hanzo subsided for 2 or 3 years, frictions broke out again soon. In the past few years, Tsunade has traveled to many countries, and he is very clear about the attitude of the neighboring countries of the Fire Country towards Konoha. They all long for Konoha's defeat. Peace will not last long. What can I do when I go back? Let's talk about it later. Tsunade shook his head. Third generation asked Kyochi to come to him, obviously hoping to use Kyochi to resolve the emotions in her heart and let her return to Konoha to work. But she has blood phobia, not many people know about it, so what if she returns to Konoha? Tsunade turned and left. Kyochi turned his head and glanced this way. Tsunade is really gone. Although it is a pity, her state is obviously not suitable for asking too many things, and it is nonsense to explain the fear of blood. Nawaki. Kato Dan died only a few years ago. Tsunade himself is a master of medicine, and mental illness is so easy to cure that it will not last for so many years. Some things not only need time to wash away, but also need an accident and chance. Asuma, otherwise you should rest first. No need. Asuma gathers chakra and proceeds to cut stone bricks with wind-style nature transformation. Shisui also condenses wind-style chakra, trying to use chakra's nature transformation with a katana to split stone bricks. This is the practice explained by Shadow Clone. As for the Sunset Red, she is carrying stone bricks. Those workers were not willing to let the ninjas do this, but after hearing what Shadow Clone said was a task and practice, they couldn't resist at all, so they had to let them do it. But because of this, the work is much faster. The task that originally took several days to complete was basically done in one afternoon. In the evening, at the strong invitation of the mayor of the town, the four of Kyochi attended the party organized by the town. The meals are hearty and the villagers are very enthusiastic. Teacher, I used to think that the villagers were difficult to get along with and were out of tune with our Uchiha. Now it seems that it's not the villagers who are out of tune, but us Uchiha. Shisui felt it. This trip made him understand many things. The villagers are not difficult to deal with. As long as you don't think you are superior to others, and get along with equal attitude and behavior, they will naturally reciprocate with their enthusiasm. Not so with Uchiha. The guards, the high walls of the clan, and the title of the #1 noble clan in Konoha made them inherently isolated from the outside world, and they never had the idea of contacting or communicating with the outside world. So, still want to get the position of Hokage? How can it be that simple? It's good for you to understand that a tree does not make a forest. If you don't integrate into it and help the forest expand, the loggers will be the first to cut down the trees outside. Teacher, I seem to have seen something similar. Shisui was stunned for a moment. The words are different, but the meaning is similar. You are a descendant of Senior Mirror, you should have read similar books in his books, but it is better to have no books than to believe in books. You should bring your own thinking and read dialectically when reading books. Yes. Shisui nodded. Kyochi didn't continue talking. Shisui is only 5 years old, he may not be able to understand what he said in one breath, just let him digest it slowly. He is currently the only fat sheep who recognizes himself as a life mentor, so he needs to be cultivated well. Asuma had a great time interacting with the townspeople. But the content of the words is bolder. Uncle, which do you think is more important, daimyo or Hokage? I don't know, whoever keeps us safe and feeds us is more important. Is that so? Silent. The kid is still obsessed with his jade problem. Kyochi's answer before made him understand the nature of jade, but Asuma didn't know who his jade general was. Hokage? No, he was born in a Hokage family, but he didn't actually have that much awe for Hokage. Before he met Kyochi, he even thought that the daimyo was that jade general. Now the thinking has changed somewhat. But what exactly it is, he is still exploring himself. Kyochi didn't interrupt. What he thought of was far more profound than what others taught him. 2 or 3 days later, with the help of the Kyochi team, Bayun town was gradually repaired, and the sea-level mission was completed. After that, they went to the surrounding area of the town, and with the cooperation of the mayor, distributed the property plundered by the bandits to the family, and then embarked on a journey back to the village. No matter Asuma, Shisui, or Kuroyuki who didn't have too many troubles, they all feel heavy at this time. Come to the village quickly. Asuma asked. Teacher, next time, can we accept the sea-level mission? Are you addicted to doing tasks? No, I just feel that going out to do missions in the village, while cultivating, I can learn a lot of things, which is much better than staying in Muyi Shu. Asuma explained. Kurenai Yuhi and Shisui nodded. You are the son of 3rd generation, if you make a lot of noise at home, maybe next time we can receive a B-level mission. What? There was laughter in the forest. Only Asuma was on the spot in a daze, and it took him a long time to realize that the teacher was joking with him, and he was speechless for a while. But Class B. EMMM. Quests at this level will come into contact with various ninjas. Have a heart. Returning to Konoha, Kiyoshi thought about it, took the key and went to Tsunade's mansion. Tsunade's house is easy to recognize. This is the house of first Hokage back then. It is small in scale, but the location is very good. It looks very simple and full of sense of age. It is one of the few properties left in Senju until now. Kiyoshi came to the door. Take out the key, open the door and enter. The result. Who are you? Why do you have the key here? What? Kiyoshi turned his head and saw a white-haired man wearing a oil forehead protector, and immediately knew the identity of the man. One of Sanin, Jiraiya, coincidentally. After saluting, Kiyoshi said, Master Jiraiya, my name is Kiyoshi Kanda, this key. Of course it was given by Master Tsunade. Given by Tsunade? Jiraiya froze for a moment. Although he came here to have a look at the first time after he came back, he actually knew in his heart that Tsunade hadn't returned to the village. Since he didn't come back, where did this kid get the key? Yes, I went to Baiyun town to do a task, and I happened to meet him. Kiyoshi nods. Baiyun town. Jiraiya sighed, and went directly back to the village from Sanagakure, but missed Tsunade without passing there. Forget it, it's useless to see it. But, who is this kid? Kanda Kiyoshi? He didn't remember Tsunade knowing someone like that. Simply put, I'm Master Tsunade's cousin, it's just a little farther away. Kiyoshi thought. Cousin? Cousin? So that's the case, ha 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 ha. Then, let's talk when I have time, I have something else to do. Jiraiya got stuck in an instant. After a few embarrassing laughs, there was a blunt change of subject, and he just ran away after speaking. Nima. I thought this kid was a thief from somewhere. For a long time as Tsunade's cousin. Almost made a fool of myself. Thinking of this, Jiraiya couldn't help secretly rejoicing, but fortunately Tsunade didn't come back, otherwise, when she saw herself coming back from outside, she would go to stay outside her house, and probably beat herself to death. As for the authenticity of cousin, Jiraiya doesn't doubt that. Kiyoshi wears Konoha's forehead protector. In Konoha, no one dares to rape relatives like this. Moreover, the Senju clan intermarried with other families, and now bloodlines are all over the village. Having one or two cousins is nothing. Jiraiya doesn't go to the hot spring, come here. Weird. Kiyoshi didn't know what to say. Never mind. Go inside and find out what Tsunade was up to when he gave him the key. He went in and closed the door. The yard is quite large. But, compared with Senju Hashirama's status, the house he left behind is already considered small, basically the same size as the owner of a small family. Just looking at the courtyard, it is impossible to imagine that this is the home of the former first generation. First generation and second generation can be said to have truly implemented their own ideas. Kiyoshi felt admiration. The door of the house was covered with dust, and no one had come here for many years. He went into the house and looked around. Many things inside were covered with cloth to prevent it from being covered with dust. The rooms are huge, but the layout is very clear, and after turning around, he basically knows what is there for. The most important place is naturally the study. There is a separate key for the study, and Tsunade gave Kiyoshi the same. There are many books in it. Part of it is a collection of books, but more of it is some notes of second generation, which are very messy and many are unsystematic, just some of the contents that second generation thought of in a flash. In addition to the first time, there is another shelf with Tsunade's medical notes. There are many medical books on it. For many medical ninjas, these are no less than peerless treasures. Huh. What is this? Kiyoshi saw a cylinder wrapped in cloth at the top of the bookshelf representing the purpose of first generation. He took it down and unbuttoned the cloth pocket. When he saw what was inside, he was stunned for a moment. Real. To be precise, it is the summoning contract scroll in Whetbone Forest. Hell. Tsunade's heart is too big, can you throw this scroll casually? Not afraid of being taken away. He was stunned for a long time, and after careful consideration, he felt that he was really not afraid. Whetbone Forest is one of the 3 holy places. Different from Mount Myoboku and Ryuchi Cave, there is no small Katsuyu in the Shibone Forest. There is only one living sage in the entire Shibone Forest, and what Tsunade and Haruno Sakura summon are actually part of the living sage. Whoever steals the scroll without permission, the consequences can be imagined. Tsunade gave himself the key and asked him to come to the study. Did he ask him to find this? He hesitated. This thing can't be messed around. Kiyoshi was hesitating, when the symbols in the scroll suddenly lit up, and after a while, a small Katsuyu crawled out of it, and it climbed onto Kiyoshi's hand, conveying a message. As you can see, it should have found the scroll. Now I'm asking the immortal living slug to deliver a message. This is the summoning scroll of the Senju clan's contract. If you are interested, you can sign it. If you are not interested, forget it. Tsunade's voice is casual. As if it wasn't a summoning scroll, but just something unimportant. As for live slugs appearing here, with the symbol of the contract scroll, it is not difficult for it to appear here. Kyochi thought about it. There are not many summoning beasts in the entire ninja world that are comparable to live slugs. Opportunity is here. Signed. Without further hesitation, he bit his finger and began to sign. But for a moment, Kyochi felt some connection between himself and the live slug. My name is Live Slug. It said gently. Master Huobu, hello. Although the opponent is very gentle and not big, Kyochi does not change his respect because he knows that the opponent's body is probably bigger than Konoha. This is a fairy who has lived from ancient times to the present. You're welcome. You have the power of the Senju clan in your body. You can come to the wet bone forest after you become stronger. If necessary, you can use summoning to summon me. Yes. Kyochi bows his head. The next moment, the live slug left. He thought for a few seconds. The meaning in the living words. Could it be that, after my physique is stronger, I have the opportunity to learn the sage mode of wet bone forest? If so, earn big. Kyochi installed the scroll as it was, put it back in its original place, and then looked at other books, mainly some books and notes from second generation. Unconsciously. The light was dim. Looking outside, it was dusk. There are too many books, and I can't read them at all. Send a shadow clone to read them tomorrow. Kyochi thought to himself. But, achieve a lot. After reading a few notes on illusion, plus the knowledge of light illusion obtained from the system rewarded darkness technique, Kyochi already knows how to combine illusion with Iazai. Zhongwang. At the moment of cutting out, use chakra to amplify the sword light, so that the opponent will have the effect of strong light blinding, and you can use this moment to cut the enemy. There is an idea. As for Konoha Ryu Willow, it is an action-guided illusion, and it can also be guided by the movement of the sword, but that is another way of thinking. Can go hand in hand. Anyway, the theory is there, and the two experiments are not complicated. Actually, Kyochi has already grasped the basics. What is lacking is the actual effect, and this needs to be practiced by others. The next day, outside Yuhi's house. Ms. Kyochi. Why are you here? Yuhi Hong was surprised. It was unbelievable that Kyochi came to her door on his own initiative. She looked at Kyochi's outfit. Could it be that? Invite yourself to an early workout? Is Senior True Red here? Yes, father, the teacher is looking for you. Shi Hong paused for a moment. Looking for father? She didn't know the situation, but without hesitation, she turned around and shouted. Yuhi Zhenheng didn't have a mission. He was slightly surprised to hear Kyochi coming, but soon appeared in the courtyard. Ms. Kyochi, please come in. Senior Zhenheng, this visit is actually to ask you about illusion. Oh? Mr. Kyochi also studies illusion? Yuhi Zhenheng was a little surprised. Except for the Uchiha family, there are not many people who study illusion in Konoha. The attitude of more people towards illusion is that they can decipher and know a few illusions. Not many are willing to study in depth and ask for advice. Some thoughts recently. The teacher said that his illusion skills are not good, but his illusion skills are very good. There is a sword technique that can make people hallucinate. Seeing Kyochi's modesty, Karini Yuhi hurriedly spoke for him. Illusion sword technique? Yuhi Zhenheng was surprised. Back then, second generation also studied phantom swordsmanship, but it seemed to end without a problem. Outsiders don't know if it has been researched. Could it be that Kyochi's phantom swordsmanship was created on the basis of second generation? After being surprised, he looked serious and said, I have some books on illusion. No, Senior Zhenheng misunderstood. I just want you to help me experiment with the effect of illusion, and then comment on it. You are a master of illusion in Konoha, so I thought of you first. Kyochi knew that Zhenheng had misunderstood. The other party probably thought he was here to get the books, but with the fusion of phantom swordsmanship, he had a preliminary plan and theoretical support, so he didn't need to read the books. Now just adjust according to the effect. Sorry, let's start then. Yes. Kyochi glanced at the light, then adjusted the blade suddenly, and drew the sword out of its sheath. In an instant, the light flashed. Yuhi Zhenheng couldn't help blocking the light with his hand, but after the momentary glare, he couldn't see clearly for a while. The sound of the knife returning to its sheath sounded. He moved his hand away, was stunned for 2 seconds, and then understood and said, You are using a knife to reflect light, using chakra to amplify the light into a strong light, so as to create an illusion. No, this is not an illusion. The illusion has a way to quickly undo it, but this kind of strong light, unless you avoid looking directly at that moment, it is impossible to get rid of it. Because it is not an illusion. Yes, my AI slash is fast enough, as long as the strong light blinds the moment, but if the speed is not fast enough, can I add the effect of illusion? Illusions can be incorporated according to the situation. For example, if I wear glasses, or look at you with peripheral vision, the glare effect will be weakened. Afterwards, Yuhi Zhenheng gave a lot of advice. He is indeed a master of illusion, and every suggestion is very useful. Then, Kyochi demonstrated a simplified version of Willow. The knife danced with its sheath, and after turning half a circle, from the left side to the right side of the body, the knife was drawn out of the sheath. The same guided illusion. It's better to simplify the movements. Illusion does not have to be guided by the blade, but also through gestures. It doesn't even have to be forced to integrate into swordsmanship. Sometimes it is better to use illusion first and then release the sword. Yuhi Zhenheng doesn't know swordsmanship, but he knows how to use illusion to kill the enemy, and the suggestions he gave are very useful. After Kyochi listened, it was of great benefit. Kuranaya Yuhi listened fascinated. Kyochi's illusion is different from what she has learned since she was a child, and it is not a type at all, which makes her feel very novel. Illusion can still do this. By the way, today just came. Hong, I want to confirm again. Are you sure you want to learn medical ninjutsu? Yes. I discussed it with my father, and my father also supports my decision. Yuhi Hong didn't hesitate. Learning medical ninjutsu requires a lot of energy, but if you can learn it, it will definitely help the team a lot. The opportunity is right in front of you, and she doesn't want to miss it. Okay. I have a few books here, you can read them, and if you don't understand, you can ask me back. Kyochi gave her some basic medical books. The content here is included in the Medical Ninjutsu Basics, rewarded by the system before. He has fully mastered it, and it is not a big problem to teach Yuhi Hong. Yu Hong took it, glanced at the author, and was immediately surprised. This is Tsunade's medical book. Thank you, teacher. This is. Yuhi Zhenheng was even more surprised. This is Tsunade's original book with many excerpt notes. He is very clear. The Kanda family has no intersection with Tsunade before, so Kyochi has been in touch with Tsunade recently, otherwise, where would Tsunade's medical books come from? Incredible. The sunset is really red and secretly happy. Although Tsunade did not teach it himself, these books and notebooks are invaluable medical treasures, and ordinary people simply cannot get them. It is very lucky for my daughter to be assigned to Kyochi Kanda. Kyochi bids farewell to father and daughter and leaves Yuhi's house. Still have to exercise. Although he has Senju's physique, he is not a sage body after all, and he needs to persevere in physical training. After running around, Kyochi was very emotional. Under his leadership, the struggle force in Konoha increased significantly. In the morning before, at most I saw Might Dai and his son, Kakashi and a few others. But now, Asuma, Shisui, Shiranui Genma, Ebisu, etc. all came out for a run. All of them were out of breath but refused to stop to rest. It was really a competition. Especially when Kyochi passed by, he ran with all his might. And not a day or two, basically, Kyochi can see them every day. Roll up. My credit is too great. Without him, how could there be such a flourishing age of ninja introversion? Kyochi was very emotional. After returning from the mission, they couldn't receive new missions for a few days. There are too many teams doing tasks recently. In the past few days, Yuhi Hong has been studying medical books. Kyochi once taught him and earned a wave of healing jutsu experience points. Now he can not only use healing jutsu to heal, but also fight against enemies. As for Asuma, Shisui, they are still practicing vacuum sword and wind style. These two are fat sheep. With a few pointers, the vacuum wave was easily obtained. This is a B-level ninjutsu. As for fire style, Kyochi was helpless. Passing by a tavern, Kyochi saw Orochimaru and Jiraiya sitting together, and was about to pretend he didn't see the past, when Jiraiya opened the curtain inside. Hey, boy from the Kanda family, let's have a drink together? Jiraiya holds the wine glass. Helpless, Kyochi walked over and said, Sorry, Master Jiraiya, Master Orochimaru, I don't drink. Do not drink? It's okay. Just eat something if you don't drink. Today was originally Sanin's party, but unfortunately Tsunade is not here. It just so happens that you are here, so I will take Tsunade's place. Orochimaru smiled. At this point, Kyochi couldn't refuse and had to sit down. Ha ha ha, it makes sense. Speaking of which, the first time I saw this kid, I thought he was a thief from somewhere, but I didn't expect it to be Tsunade's cousin. Jiraiya took another drink as he spoke, then let out a long sigh. Orochimaru took a drink in silence. The war is over. But trauma and pain will not disappear. Tsunade's experience is the tragedy of war. Hey, why are you silent? You are scary if you don't talk. Don't scare our cousin. Come, have a drink. Jiraiya is very welcoming. He is familiar, but when he said this, he hoped that Orochimaru would not think too much about it. Orochimaru smiled, raised his glass to Kyoshi and said, Kyoshi-kun, we meet again. Have you met him? Jiraiya was surprised. In my Jonin exam, the examiner is Lord Orochimaru. Kyoshi simply said something. Jiraiya was stunned for a moment, and then instantly understood the general situation. Orochimaru is the chief examiner, and the exam questions are definitely not easy. He smiled and didn't ask carefully, and then the three of them started chatting. More is to ask about Tsunade's recent situation. Master Tsunade is fine. The only problem is the lack of money, being chased by debt collectors all day long for money. Ha 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 ha. Jiraiya laughed. It is indeed Tsunade. Nothing is missing, just money. Because no amount of money is enough, Tsunade, the big fat sheep, will lose in the end, and it will be exported in the end. Did you lend her money? No, I never lend money to gamblers. You did it right. If you have that money, why don't you send me to do ninjutsu research? At least I can teach you after I have results. The corners of Orochimaru's mouth twitched slightly. When it comes to Tsunade, the distance between the three seems to be shorter. Kyoshi can be sure. At least for this moment, Orochimaru didn't care about Senju's physique, Hashirama's cells, just an ordinary person who cared about his teammates. By the way, I heard from the old man that you are doing research on a technique. If you have any difficulties and need help, just say so. Anyway, the two of us are still in the village recently, and we may go out again after a while. Zillai's tone is hearty and full of helplessness at the same time. Konoha now. It is not an exaggeration to describe it as precarious. Every year in the war, the four major villages want to bite off a piece of meat from Konoha. Shu has some eyebrows recently. At present, he has encountered some difficulties with skin breathing, but it's okay, and it should be resolved soon. In fact, Kyoshi has mastered skin breathing. It's just that the current skin breathing can at most play an auxiliary role and reduce the pressure on the lungs, and it's far from becoming the fourth active. Skin breathing? Both Jiraiya and Orochimaru were taken aback. Orochimaru was thinking, what technique needs this ability? And Jiraiya? He thought for a while and said, if it's this, I'm not sure I can really help you later. It's not urgent. Master Jiraiya just mentioned that he's going out again, isn't it? Kyoshi lowered his voice mid-speak. Jiraiya nodded slightly, and said, it's been several years since the Second World War, and Cloud Shinobi Village and Iwagakure have recovered a lot of strength, so we have to go to the north to see. Kirigakure is also possible, right? Their strength has also recovered a lot, and there is a group that has become very famous in recent years. Maybe it is possible to attack us. Kyoshi said. He remembered that Kirigakure started at about the same time as Iwagakure, and like Iwagakure, there were traces of wars breaking out. Jiraiya and Orochimaru pondered for a moment, then nodded lightly. It is indeed possible. Kirigakure has not done anything for many years, and the name of the 7 ninja swords has become more and more famous in recent years. Kyoshi said nothing more. That's all for now. He brought 3 little boys under his command, and it was impossible to go to the north or east to investigate. The future situation and other things should be studied by the higher-ups. The high-level Konoha is not all winebags and rice bags. Come on. Let's have a drink. Boy, you can drink this glass instead of Tsunade, and you must not refuse. You don't have to. Kyoshi waved his hand, then, he bit his finger and performed summoning with blood. Little Katsuyu crawled out. My lord? Jiraiya was rather taken aback. Orochimaru gave Kyoshi a meaningful look. Wetbone's Covenant. This kid is really hooked on the Senju clan. It seems that Danzo has to go there again, otherwise, if he offends that Tsunade girl. God knows what will happen. He took a sip, hiding his expression. Master Huobu, please pass this bottle of wine to Master Tsunade, so that it is a party invitation from Jiraiya and Orochimaru Sanin. It is good. The living slug rolled up the bottle, controlling the mucus in its body so that it would not corrode it, and disappeared on the table. Jiraiya was filled with emotion. The Wetbone Forest contract is signed, representing Kyochi's Senju identity is recognized, which is different from before. Did he go to fetch the summoning scroll that day? Jiraiya Mingwu then also became speechless to Tsunade. Throw the contract scroll at home? The heart is too big. Drink, I'll talk to you about skin breathing after drinking. Jiraiya raises his glass. After several glasses of wine, the food on the table was gradually wiped out. Orochimaru left first. He is a busy man. Jiraiya got used to it, and wandered out of the tavern with Kyochi, talking about some tips for skin breathing, something that the Mount Myoboku toad has. During the process of practicing Sage Mode, he experienced the feeling of assimilating with a toad, and he knew very well what happened to skin breathing. So, Kyochi is asking the right person, but the only problem is, Master Jiraiya, I appreciate you teaching me this, but what's the matter with bringing me to the hot spring? A wall surrounded by hot air. Women's frolic. Kyochi felt a big danger written above his head. I am a teacher. This was discovered, and I am afraid that I can say goodbye to Konoha village directly. Ahem. Don't get me wrong, I'm on the wrong road. Walk around, and avoid this place, lest the people inside may misunderstand. Jiraiya blushed. After drinking, I unconsciously followed the sound and came here. Kyochi was speechless. Do you still need to be misunderstood? As long as you are a person in Konoha, who doesn't know the glorious history of your Jiraiya? He didn't expose it either. By the way, I don't know what technique you are studying. Can you tell me? Cell viability. Nothing to hide. Kyochi spoke directly, gathering chakra in both hands, and he started making seals. Printing speed is significantly faster than normal. This is the application of skin respiration combined with active surgery that I am currently thinking of. Stimulate cell activity locally? Jiraiya was thoughtful. This method is wonderful, it can be improved according to the needs, and the load on the body will not be so great, but the corresponding requirements are also extremely high, and ordinary people can't learn it at all. You should have a higher level of use, right? That's right, I named it the 7-day breathing method. The first 3 layers of activity only need lung breathing, but the 4th activity, I expect to enhance skin breathing. It is indeed feasible, this activation technique. If you want to learn, it's okay to teach you, but this is a forbidden technique, it's best not to use it frequently. Kyochi didn't hesitate. The first 3 activities are not precious things, and there is no need to be stingy. Besides, the harvest of teaching Jiraiya may be worth its value. Hey, in this way, you teach me the activation technique, and I will teach you the secret technique of my hair. Kyochi is Tsunade's younger generation. Jiraiya has the nerve to whore for nothing. Also, Kyochi didn't refuse. Exchanging secret techniques is a practice among many ninjas. Certainly. Generally, family secrets will not be passed on to the outside world. These are more self-created secrets, such as Jiraiya's hair secrets. Needle Jizo is very practical, and there is no reason to refuse it. He talked about the principles and methods of the 7-day exhalation, and then detailed the local effects of some skin breathing that he has developed so far. Increase your legs and increase your speed. Amplify the seal with both hands. Even later, he wants to achieve one-handed mudra, so that ninjutsu and swordsmanship can be developed simultaneously. Jiraiya listened fascinated. After all, he is Sanin, with a deep knowledge accumulation and a foundation in skin breathing, so he quickly learned local amplification. In fact, this is the most coveted effect of Jiraiya. Compared with the genuine 7-day calling method, he prefers the activation technique of local stimulation. After experimenting, Jiraiya said, "This technique is very useful. Although the learning difficulty is S level, I think it can be promoted as a learning level forbidden technique." Really? I want to reduce the difficulty of learning a little more. Difficult, very difficult. Jiraiya knew what Kyochi was up to. If this technique can be pushed to a level difficulty, then many Jonin and elite Chunin will have the opportunity to master it, and the survival rate on the battlefield will be greatly improved. But cell stimulation itself is fine work. Without enough chakra control, it is impossible to master it, and the skin breathing that Kyochi is currently studying is even more difficult, and it is impossible to reach a level no matter how low it is. Kyochi could only sigh regretfully. Now let me teach you, my technique is called Needle K Siddhagarba. There are not seals, chakra extraction skills, ninjutsu is not difficult to learn. Kyochi quickly got the hang of it, but he was curious about what kind of psychology Jiraiya created this technique in the first place. Afraid of being beaten when peaking? Can't figure it out. After exchanging secret techniques, Jiraiya bid farewell to Kyochi and left with a smile. It is not allowed to lost again. Kyochi shakes his head. Sanin is really. Each has hobbies. He glanced at the system panel. Complete the secret technique, exchange, evaluation, average, reward, fire sealing seal, generally. Kyoshi was surprised at first, and then understood why. Jiraiya doesn't need him to teach at all. In fact, after explaining the principle, Jiraiya already knows how to use the activation technique, but it's just embarrassing to go whoring for nothing. Therefore, the system is defined as communication, rather than teaching, and the evaluation is not high. But even Amaterasu can seal the fire seal, which is also very practical in itself. If the fourth Raikage can seal the fire, do you still need to cut off the arm? It can be seen that analogy is still useful. I also got an acupuncture needle, and the sealing fire seal is equivalent to whoring for nothing, not to mention that the sealing technique is very precious, and it is extremely difficult to learn, so it is definitely not a loss to learn one. When I think about it this way, my thoughts are clear in an instant. As for Jiraiya, the righteous self cannot tolerate such a thing happening. Out of the woods, he met the female teacher in Jonin's school, and casually mentioned to her that there was someone sneaking around. Not for a while. There was a scream, followed by shouts and curses. Kyoshi coughed lightly and left, hiding his merit and fame. It's been a long time. Jiraiya appeared in front of Kyoshi resentfully. Little Kyoshi, I hide on my front foot, but someone comes on my back foot. You must have sold me. Master Jiraiya, I didn't. Someone happened to pass by. By the way, I heard that you almost died because of it in your early years? Kyoshi chuckled. Jiraiya gritted her teeth, the two tacitly understood each other. However, thinking about the identity of this kid, he shuddered. If Tsunade knew he almost brought Kyoshi to do that, he would have beaten himself half to death. Hey, I'm easy to get lost. You see, this misunderstanding will cause trouble. I really can't drink this wine. Cough, let's go. Jiraiya coughed in embarrassment, then left decisively. Back in the village, he remembered. Why is the name Kanda Kyoshi so familiar? In Minato's letter, he mentioned many times that the genius junior he admired had all kinds of whimsical ideas and was particularly good at education. It seems that that guy is also Kyoshi. Minato is still young. Jiraiya sighed. This kid looks innocent, but he is actually black when cut open, just like Orochimaru. Certainly. He doesn't see anything wrong with the Kyoshi people. Creative, full of enthusiasm for the village, and willing to share many skills to help Konoha become stronger. He also knew a little about the ninja school. Kyoshi did a great job. Don't say anything else. This year's batch of graduates is definitely the one with the highest overall quality among the students who have graduated in recent years. They have a very solid foundation in ninjutsu and can quickly integrate into the genin group. The training camp is also a great idea. A lot of things are not hard, but no one would think of it, and many of Kyoshi's ideas are just like this. From Jiraiya's point of view, Kyoshi and Orochimaru are the same kind of people. Kyoshi didn't know that Jiraiya rated himself so highly. After he separated from Jiraiya, he went directly to the Hokage building to fulfill his promise and submit the phased results of the activation technique. Result. When I met third generation, before I even said anything about surgery, third generation first said a tricky thing. After Asuma came back, she told me that she wanted to take on a B-level mission to train herself. Did you instigate it? Misunderstand. Kyoshi coughed after hearing this. Asuma, is he really making trouble? He was just joking. Okay, don't pretend. I know you are capable. Asuma has also made great progress, and has matured a lot in all aspects. You should take a look at this first. Third generation took out a quest scroll. Kyoshi froze for a moment. Really have a mission? He took it over and looked at it for a while, then his face gradually became serious. The mission site, the country of Chuan. This is the information provided by the bandits they caught. Those people were originally wandering samurai from the country of Chuan. Although people in the kingdom of Sichuan also make a living by plundering, they generally dare not come to the kingdom of fire, but recently there have been many ninjas in the kingdom of Sichuan. They wiped out the rebellious bandits, so these people had to flee to the kingdom of fire. In the northern part of Kawa no Kuni, ninjas. Dawn? Kyoshi had this possibility in mind. He said solemnly, Master Hokage, isn't this a B-level mission? This kind of task may be upgraded to a level or even S-level at any time. Shisui they can't necessarily handle it. He is not as reckless as Kakashi, who knows the status of the mission in Naruto but insists on leading his subordinates to complete it alone. If it is not for Baileyu, Naruto and Sasuke are basically in danger. Of course not. Third generation nodded, paused, and said, Minato's class set off for the sea-level mission the day before yesterday. Although it shouldn't be too dangerous, it's up to you to take care of it. This is Minato's kunai. This mark is Flying Thunder God. Well, in case of danger, Minato can teleport everyone to your side. Now that Anbu's people are in other countries, there is no spare manpower at all. I can only let you do it, and the village will give you the reward. Third generation size. The land of wind, the land of earth, and the land of thunder all have to monitor it. Orochimaru just came over, and talking about Kyochi, it means that the eastern land of water will also send people. The war has just ended, how can there be so many people? Understood, I'll go right away. Asuma, are you really going to a B-level mission? When Shisui and Yuhihong arrived at the meeting place, the first sentence was all this. I don't know, I just said it casually, hoping to get a high-level task. Asuma was also at a loss. He just talked to the old man, and he was notified of the assembly in the afternoon. Go out of the village first, and explain on the way. Kyochi didn't say much. After everyone was ready, he registered at the entrance of the village, and then went directly to the west. Leaving Konoha, he explained the mission. Subsequently, for this mission, I will ask you to use the state of wartime. You will not live and cook on the road. The food will be replaced by military food pills throughout the journey. You will not be allowed to rest if you do not reach the prescribed distance. Yes. Set off. The three of them were pleasantly surprised, but also a little nervous. Look at the way the teacher looks. In this mission, you may really encounter enemy ninjas. On the way, Kyochi pondered in his head. This period of time is the period when dawn is growing stronger, and there is no ninja village in Chenji country, so this purge must have something to do with them. Totally fit. But, if it was dawn now, they would not have shot at Konoha shinobi, and besides, their task was to meet Minato rather than fight, so it was not so dangerous. Including third generation, also think that Minato is not so dangerous. But, once out of danger, in troubled times, I can't afford too much loss. Let Kyochi and the others pass, just a little more insurance, by the way. It is best to be able to collect information. Kyochi knew it all. Teacher, so, Kakashi and the others also accepted the sea-level mission? After Asuma ran for a long distance, a word popped out suddenly. Shi Hahong was speechless for a moment. Did you know? Kyochi didn't even bother to answer. Yuhihong was helpless, and explained, Kakashi is Chunin. Their team strength is already higher than that of ordinary genin teams. It is normal to do sea-level tasks. Senior Guy's team seems to have accepted a sea-level mission. Oh. After listening to Kurenai Yuhi and Shisui, Asuma scratched her head, thinking that the first class was special, but the elite team has basically started to accept sea-level tasks. He was a little floating at first, but now he sank back. Sea-level missions are more guards, and there are fewer battles. We were a special case last time. This time our missions are classified as B-level, just because the Jonin may have raised the level. Only then did Kyochi explain. Generally speaking, the money for sea-level missions is between 20,000 and 50,000 taels, and the missions are more protective. Last time, they directly targeted the enemy and took the initiative to kill the enemy. Simply put, it's over the top, certainly. There are also many rewards. The final reward was 60,000 taels, a full 20,000 taels more than the established 40,000 taels, because they wiped out the bandits and recovered the robbed property of several villages by the way. They chased all the way. Soon, there were traces of the 7th class passing by on the road. Until the border of the Land of Fire, the traces disappeared at once. Minato and the others began to deliberately eliminate all traces of themselves. Go to the mission location. Kyochi took out the map, looked at the direction, and then went to Minato's mission location. After arriving here, there are no traces to be found. Asuma looked around, looking very curious, especially when passing by an area where there were people, but there were too few people here, and there were not many people to be seen for a long distance. Teacher, there are very few people in the country of Sichuan. It's too messy, I can't survive, of course I have to go. Because there is no ninja village. But Daimyo, doesn't he have the money to recruit ninjas? Asuma is puzzled. Kyochi was silent for a moment, and then said, because there are too many big countries around it, and the area is relatively large, even if there is a ninja village, it is basically impossible to survive. The country of rain. Shisui thought of a country located in the middle of the three major powers. Isn't the land of rain worse than the land of rivers? But in the Second Ninja World War, the country of rain was almost alone against the three major powers, and the limelight was the same for a while. There is Hanzo in the Land of Rain. Kyochi sighs. In addition, in the early years, Hanzo was extremely powerful and had his own pursuit of ideals, but after the Second Ninja World War, Hanzo was also beaten into a temper by the three major powers. Hanzo stole the limelight and appeared to have won. However, the three major countries can recover in a few years, but what about the country of Rain? Except for the three different numbers of Yahiko, the education and medical systems are not at the same level at all, and the second Hanzo is all due to upgraded. This is the gap between big and small countries. After hearing Kyochi's words, all three were a little silent. For many years, from Konoha's point of view, they thought that the ninja villages in the Land of the Rain would be abominable for instigating wars, but if they were ninjas from a small village, they would probably be even more desperate than Hanzo and the others. There was silence. Asuma, Shisui, and Kurenai Yuhi all seemed to be thinking. But, from Kyochi's side, a voice rang out. Complete the thought guidance of Sarutobi Asuma, he regards you as a life mentor. Evaluation. Excellent. Reward. Feion. Asuma, you finally paid back. Kyochi collects while running. Feion is not a sword, but Asuma's double fist blade melee combat technique. After adding wind-style nature transformation, the attack is very terrifying. It can be said, this is Asuma eating guy. Certainly. The current Asuma has not even finished the fist blade, and Feion naturally has no way to talk about it. Kyochi realized something and was in a very good mood. The technique itself is secondary. Since Feion cooperates with double fist blades, it comes with some effects of dual-wielding weapons. Kyochi can obviously feel that his two hands are more flexible than before. Especially the left hand. This is a buff that many ninjutsu cannot provide. From this alone, he made money, not to mention. Feion is not exactly a boxing blade technique, it can also be used in conjunction with a knife technique, but the method is slightly different. Looks like getting a second chakra knife is imminent. While Kyochi was happy, he couldn't help sighing. One is not enough. After a moment of emotion, he glanced at Asuma. The kid was thinking, but quickly realized that he was on a mission, shook his head, and drove away the thoughts in his mind. Kyochi smiled. Asuma has definitely grown up quite a bit. The original Asuma, although not comparable to Naruto when he was young, is also a child king and a troublemaker who is not much different. Otherwise, he would not be able to leave the village due to a little conflict later. He is obviously very different now. It's all my own credit. Certainly. While sighing, he was secretly using chakra perception to constantly check the surrounding situation, looking for traces of Minato. Finally, found it. This way. Kyochi pointed the way. Asuma and Shisui were taken aback, but Yuhihong was not surprised at all. She kept up with Kyochi, ran and complained. You don't think that the teacher really didn't feel anything, so you dare to let us walk around in Baiyun town? Turn out to be. Shisui understood instantly. The teacher was in Baiyun town, so he probably knew the location of the robbers long ago, so he was just testing them at that time. No wonder later came out so timely. I remembered. I heard my father said that Nidaime has a perception technique, which can sense the position of others from a long distance, and even perceive the strength of chakra. Stop talking nonsense and keep up. Kyochi didn't deny it. Anyway, I didn't plan to hide it, so I guessed it when I guessed it. Now that his identity has been recognized by Tsunade, he is not afraid of people in the village finding fault. At most, it will be the same as Tsunade said, and he will just leave the village. What a big deal. Teacher, it seems that there are indeed hostile ninjas, but they don't seem to want to fight. Yuhihong was very puzzled. These hostile ninjas didn't seem to intend to fight Konoha. When the 7th squad took a step forward, they took a few steps back and kept avoiding it. They didn't want to meet the 7th squad at all. You hold Kanai and the Scroll of Intelligence. Kyochi handed Flying Thunder God Kanai to Asuma. This is Senior Minato's Flying Thunder God spell. You guys meet with Minato and give the information scroll to Senior Minato. I'll go ahead and have a look. Teacher, if you don't take it with you, at least Teacher Minato can support you. Asuma is a little worried. Kyochi does it by himself, what if he is in danger? It's okay, I'm just going to collect information, if I can't fight, I can run. Kyochi patted him on the shoulder, and the body flicker technique rushed forward. Ahead. Namikaze Minato naturally sensed the existence of those ninjas. If it was only him and Kakashi, he would definitely rush to see what happened. But besides them, there were Obito and Lin. Obito and Lin are newcomers, unable to cope with the complex battlefield environment. He waited, and finally did not go to investigate the situation alone. Teacher. How about I go and have a look? Kakashi asked in a low voice. He is Chunin. In terms of strength, apart from Namikaze Minato, he is the most in the team. Our task is to help the village eliminate bandits. These ninjas have nothing to do with us, so let's not make trouble. Minato shook his head. At this time, a trace of astonishment appeared on his face. This is own flying thunder god spell. He landed on the ground and used perception to detect the surrounding situation, and then a gleam of joy appeared on his face. Teacher, what happened? Lin also found something wrong. From just now, Namikaze Minato and Kakashi seemed to have serious expressions. It's okay, another class is approaching us. If you guessed right, it should be the first class. They brought my special kunai, which should be supporting us. Namikaze Minato breathed a sigh of relief. Kyochi is here. And, judging from the positions of Kyochi and the other three, they made a decision to divide the troops. One of them went to investigate the ninjas' situation, while the rest asked them to explain the situation. In this way, he doesn't have to worry about whether to investigate or not. Ah? Why did they come to support us? Is our task very difficult? Obito looked blank. We'll find out when they come. Namikaze Minato didn't explain, because he didn't know the origin of these ninjas, otherwise he wouldn't be too cautious to move forward. Not for a while. The three of Asuma arrive. Mr. Minato, we came here to help you at the order of the village to inform you of the situation in the country of Kawa. This is the information scroll. Asuma handed over the scroll with the seal of sealing. Namikaze Minato didn't say much. The potential meaning of this kind of seal is, this information is very important, and it is likely to affect Konoha's battle situation. He immediately opened the seal with the unseal technique. With just one glance, a solemn look suddenly appeared on Minato's face. Range Shinobi Village. In the Battle of Mount Kikyo, the Land of Winds suffered heavy losses, and many treaties were signed with Konoha, making it impossible to go to the Land of Rivers for activities. There is a high probability that the opponent belongs to the Kingdom of Rain. In the Second Ninja World War, Rain Shinobi Village suffered heavy losses, but Hanzo was still there. It was the number one ninja village outside the 5 great ninja villages. This is the weight of a demigod. Namikaze Minato put away the information scroll, and the current war situation in the ninja world appeared in his mind. He guessed the situation of the village, and after thinking for a while, he said, Kyochi went to the front? Yes, the teacher is going to investigate the situation and told us to act with you and follow your arrangement. Sunset Red said. Okay, the situation is special, let's go to the mission location first, confirm the strength of the bandits before making the next plan. The mission of the country of the river was previously controlled by the country of the wind. After the war, it was assigned to Konoha's side. Minato didn't want to give up unless it was absolutely necessary. As for the ninjas ahead, he can only choose to believe in Kyochi's ability for the time being. Without Genin to hold him back, Kyochi was fast and it didn't take long for the ninjas to catch up. These ninjas are full of Rain Shinobi Village character. The identity is basically in doubt. Kyochi pursued, and they retreated. Both sides were fast, which meant that the other party had spotted their whereabouts. This wave has met a master. He became more and more careful. I don't know who is leading the team. There are 2 people who have not moved. Are they planning to stop the rear? Kyochi frowned. While chasing from behind, use chakra sense to carefully probe around to avoid traps yourself. He got closer and found that the 2 chakra instances were located in an unassuming tree, but on closer inspection, it could be seen that the tree had been faked using ninjutsu. Konin. Kyochi understood instantly. He narrowed his eyes, pretending not to see. Jump forward a few steps. Suddenly countless leaves fluttered in all directions, rolling towards him like a wave. Kyochi found out. Although many of these paper leaves were sharp, there were no detonating symbols inside. Konin kept his hand. But even if you keep your hand, at most it won't hurt his life. Kyochi seals quickly. In the blink of an eye, the surrounding water walls rose. Jonin, detonator cover, let's go. When Yahiko saw that something was wrong, she immediately took Konin away. Konoha Shinobi. And look at the power of water style, at least elite Jonin. They weren't too scared, but they didn't want to confront Kyochi. That's why Yahiko didn't let Nagato stay in his place. Nagato couldn't figure out the situation, in case Konoha Shinobi was hurt. However, the next moment, a water dragon came roaring, directly scattered the detonating symbols, and rolled them towards Konin and Yahiko. Water dragon bomb technique. So fast, Yahiko's expression changed. He's also a water-style ninja and knows how difficult the water dragon bomb technique is to seal, but Kyochi does it in the blink of an eye. This is an improved technique. I block it. The tree Konan was living in shattered and turned into countless origami, and finally formed a shield. The water dragon bomb is amazingly powerful, but under layers of paper shields, the impact is gradually offset. But a sword light flashed. The paper shield was shattered in an instant, and the next moment, they saw a figure falling in front of them, holding a sword with lightning flashing in his hand, and his silver hair was particularly eye-catching. Namikaze Minato? No, Namikaze Minato is blonde. Who are you? So fast. Yahiko was so amazed for the second time. It was the first time that I was shocked by Kyochi's printing speed, but this time, I was surprised by the speed of body flicker technique. In addition to Namikaze Minato, Konoha also has such a fast Jonin. Konoha Jonin, Kanda Kyochi. Who are you and why did you enter the country of Kawa? Kyochi pretended to be serious. He naturally knew the other party's identity, but he still had to have the proper form. Yahiko's hands were sweating. With the speed of himself and Konan, he can't outrun the opponent at all, and the strength of the opponent is only emerging at the moment. To be honest, even if he joins forces with Konan, he is not fully confident of defeating him. Unless Nagato is called back, but it is really a life and death battle, which is not good for both parties. He turned his mind sharply, thought for a long time, and finally said, "We are Rain Shinobi Village ninjas. We did not intend to offend Konoha when we came to the country of Sichuan. We just wanted to eliminate the bandits who made trouble in the country of Sichuan." Oh? Kyochi narrowed his eyes. Konoha has all the quests in the country of Chuan, but Konoha, who has not released the quest, can't take care of it for the time being. See what Yahiko means. Did he go to the country of Sichuan to do voluntary labor? We came to the country of Sichuan simply to eliminate the bandits here and make the country of Sichuan peaceful. We didn't intend to attack Konoha or compete with you for missions. Konan explained. Not to mention that they have some relationship with Jiraiya, but Konoha's strength is not something they can provoke. The current dawn is very weak, and Konoha is a towering tree to them. Our wish is peace, and we will never provoke war. Seeing that Kyochi didn't make a move, Yahiko knew that there was a possibility of peace talks. After all, Konoha has just gone through a great war, and he absolutely does not want to provoke another ninja village at this moment. Otherwise, what is coming now is not a Kanda Kyochi, but Konoha's powerful Anbu. Thinking of this, he became calmer. Kyochi was about to speak when two chakra breaths approached. One is in the north and one is in the south. Nagato and Minato? Kyochi understood. He thought over and over again, the current situation is complicated, he can't make up his own mind. Minato came just in time. Let Jiraiya's apprentices talk about it themselves. Thinking of this, he gathered chakra to intimidate the two, while waiting for Minato to arrive. Yahiko. Konan was anxious, but Yahiko shook his head slightly. Can't do it. Even if he wants to do it, it's not now, he has to wait for Nagato to come. He senses that Nagato is approaching. The two sides fell into a brief stalemate, not for a while. Minato's shadow clone arrived. Seeing the situation in front of him, he was stunned for a moment, then turned to Kyochi and asked in a low voice, "What's going on?" "Ninjas from Rain Shinobi Village enter the country to eliminate bandits, free of charge." "What? Suppress bandits without compensation? These Rain Shinobi ninjas?" Minato froze for a moment, a little confused. No wonder Kyochi didn't move. He also doesn't know what to do. The village definitely doesn't want to cause more troubles, but if these people don't deal with it and let them wipe out the bandits from the kingdom of Sichuan, these bandits will flee to the kingdom of fire. Difficulty at both ends. The corner of his mouth twitched, he looked at the two people, and after thinking for a moment, he said, "What's your name?" "Yahiko." "Konan." Silent. The name is very familiar, and I vaguely feel that I have heard it before. Minato frowned slightly. Konan tried to speak, but was stopped by Yahiko. Yahiko knew that Konan wanted to use Jiraiya's relationship to get Minato to release him, but he knew better that Minato and Jiraiya were both Konoha shinobi. If you open your mouth, it will only make it difficult for the other party. Kyochi faced north, looking at the woods, the blade turned. Nagato is here, in the woods, his red hair stands out. And he didn't know what happened, only that Yahiko, Konan seemed to be at a disadvantage. As soon as he arrived, Nagato raised his hand and threw a few shurikens, followed by ninjutsu, and was about to make a move. When he saw the light of the sword flickering, his eyes were instantly blank. So dazzling. He involuntarily turned his head to avoid it, but in an instant, Nagato heard the howling of the wind. Not good. He used his perception, but Kyochi was too fast. Nagato had no choice but to predict the use of Shenluo Tianzheng. At this time, his vision recovered and he saw a figure entering his body, but under Shenluo Tianzheng, this figure was not affected, and gradually turned into an afterimage. Clone technique. Wrong. He jumped onto the tree, and the underground sword light burst out. Heart beheading technique. Cold sweat dripped from Nagato's forehead. Such a fast and tough opponent, no wonder Yahiko and Conan couldn't handle it. However, while he was amazed, he saw through Rinnegan that Kyochi's speed had doubled again. Although his eyes could see clearly, his body couldn't keep up. The body replacement technique had just been sealed. Boom. With one kick, he was kicked from the tree in front of Minato. Be merciful. Do not. Yahiko and Conan are in a hurry. Nagato's Rinnegan ability has always been invincible, but at this moment, they realized that Nagato also has opponents. Speed. So fast that people can't react. This kick is powerful. But Nagato still struggled to stand up and dealt with the next attack carefully. Minato felt helpless. He is a shadow clone, and he really doesn't help much when fighting. But facing such a powerful enemy, if the opponent is not defeated, it will be difficult to follow up. Nagato stood ready and retreated step by step. Whoosh, Kyochi reappeared, already 10 steps away from Nagato. Nagato was horrified. This speed. Too fast. He threw a shuriken, and Kyochi quickly slid through the gap, but the next moment, he raised his hand. Wind-style gale palm. The whirlwind roared, and the surrounding shurikens were rolled up, disrupting the trajectory in an instant, and many directly attacked Kyochi. Kyochi didn't care and drew the knife directly. This time, Minato is in a hurry. He was about to make a move, but saw an abnormal black color appearing on Kyochi's body surface. He was stunned for a moment. Those shurikens had already attacked Kyochi. Ding. After a crisp sound, the shuriken fell to the ground. No harm at all. On the other hand, Nagato, seeing the blade of the Thunder Spirit slashing towards him, was in a panic for a while, so he had to use Shinra Sky Sign again. However, with door opening and breathing activities superimposed, Kyochi's body control has reached ultimate, and he can move forward and retreat freely without hindrance. After the repulsion passed, he landed next to Nagato. The chakra in his hand condensed and turned into a ball of green light. Nagato struggled to get away, but after a while, his eyes gradually became dull, and finally his hands went limp, and he fell into a coma. Subdued? Minato has a strange expression on his face. That was healing jutsu just now, right? This thing can also make people stunned? Increased knowledge. What did you do to Nagato? Conan growled sharply. It's healing jutsu. Yahiko breathed a sigh of relief. If Kyochi wanted to kill someone, he could just slash with a knife after avoiding Shinra Tenjong just now. It wouldn't take such trouble at all. It's nothing, he's too troublesome, we have to deal with it before we can talk about it. Kyochi pulls Nagato to Minato's side. Minato turned his head and saw Nagato's red hair. He couldn't help being stunned for a moment, and then a flash of light flashed in his mind. The teacher seems to have mentioned a boy with red hair. He took a deep breath, looked at Yahiko and Conan and said, I remembered, you are the 3 children that the teacher met in Rain Shinobi Village, and the teacher mentioned it to me. Silent. Conan was speechless, was recognized. But, while flustered, she was somewhat moved. The teacher still remembers them. At this time, Yahiko said, Senior Minato, we have no malice towards Konoha. We just want to try to realize the teacher's vision, and hope that the surroundings can be peaceful. But, Minato hesitated to speak. The teacher mentioned 3 children to him, and according to Jiraiya, these 3 people pinned part of his hopes. Although he didn't know the specific situation, but only from his personal standpoint, he was willing to believe the words of the 3 of them. However, their behavior and scale make Konoha not to be underestimated. Kyochi glanced at him, then sheathed his sword, smiled and said, Shall I say something? The 3 looked over. Let me tell you, your idea is very good, but your approach is very stupid. Help the country of Sichuan eliminate bandits, but there are so many bandits that you can't kill them all, and the rest fled to surrounding countries, and then what? Sit and watch like this? Yahiko's fist hardened. In his opinion, Kyochi doesn't understand the pain of a small country at all. Pointing fingers from the standpoint of a big country makes him very disgusted. Kyochi shook his head and didn't get entangled in the topic. You said you were trying to make peace. What is your solution? The struggle between the big countries has left our small country with no place to live. With the strength of Rain Shinobi Village, if we gather the power of the small village, we can form a force to dissuade the big country from stopping the war. Yahiko said. Why? What? Why should a small country listen to you? Why should Hanzo listen to you? Why should a big country listen to you? Kyoshi spreads his hands. Innocent. Li Xiao wanted to change the situation, but with just this gun barrel, she wanted to unite vertically and horizontally to deter big countries. The idea is good. Pity. Probably only a dream can come true. Our Yahiko, Nagato and Konan are as strong as Hashirama and Madara. But then again, with that strength, it still needs the support of Xiaoguo and Hanzo. Just go up for a wave. This is good for small countries. Why? Yahiko was stunned halfway through speaking, and didn't continue talking for a while. Halfway through the answer, he found something was wrong. You think it's beneficial, but does everyone think so? For example, Taki Ninja Village. This, Yahiko was stunned. Taki Ninja Village was allotted a tailed beast back then. If you say that in the small country, who is the strongest except Rain Shinobi Village, it must be Taki Shinobi Village. But, will Taki Ninja Village listen to him? Those small countries are vassals of big countries, and they can get a lot of support every year, and there is a ninja village in the country to maintain a certain amount of peace. Even. Every small village may still have the idea of accumulating strength and development, and one day be able to leapfrog a big country, such as Taki Ninja Village. Everyone has complicated thoughts. How to unite? He was speechless. Let me ask one more question. After the alliance of small countries is formed, who has the final say, Hanzo or you? It can be seen that you and that demigod seem to be on different paths. Silent. Yahiko was questioned again. Who is the leader? Own? According to Kyoshi's thinking, it is obviously impossible, because the small countries will not agree. But, without unity, how can we fight against big powers? Do you know what other small countries want? You see, you don't even see who is a partner and who is an enemy. You still think that you can achieve peace. Rest, it will only harm others and yourself. After Kyoshi finished speaking, the blade of the Thunder Spirit was put away. Minato was momentarily speechless. Kyoshi's words. Very shocking. Even he was asked, let alone the Yahiko trio. That's all. As for this kid, Senior Minato, you can figure it out. I'm just a newly promoted Jonin, and I don't know how to deal with this kind of thing. After Kyoshi said that, his figure melted into foam. Familiar instant technique. Minato was silent for a moment. You made a big mouthful, and then just ran away. And me? I'm just a shadow clone. He looked at Yahiko and Konan, but fortunately, the two showed no signs of fighting. And many more. Yahiko just woke up. Kyoshi slipped too fast. He realized that the person in front of him was gone. He looked at Minato, then at Konan and the unconscious Nagato in the distance, thought for a while, and said through gritted teeth, Senior Minato, can you let Konan take Nagato away? I will go with you. I want to ask this Jonin again. This, Minato was a little embarrassed. Kyoshi's question is too profound and raises many contradictions, and these contradictions cannot be solved in a few words, otherwise the ninja world would not be in chaos until now. Furthermore, for a moment he didn't know what to do with Yahiko. But after thinking about it, Nagato seems to have a special ability, and Konan's origami combined with the detonating symbol is more threatening to the children, that it is best for Yahiko to take it back. Because he is sensible enough. Yahiko knows very well what can and cannot be done, except for wanting to use the power of a small country to fight against a big country. Although naive, Minato is clear that peace is the dream of Jiraiya and them, including himself, who has no clue right now, but Yahiko and the others are at least starting to act. This is nothing to laugh at. Nor, he believed, did Kyoshi mean to mock. I know, I was very excited before, thinking that my efforts would bring about peace in the ninja world, but now I am very confused. Yahiko sighed. Peace? Not to mention the ninja world, according to what Kyoshi said, he may not even be able to handle Hanzo. Although Nagato and those subordinates trusted him very much, it was precisely because of this trust that he could not make such hasty decisions, especially after someone pointed out the problem of the plan. Minato was thinking, if it wasn't for the arrival of Kyoshi's group, he would never have been able to pursue him, and Yahiko and the others would naturally miss him. So, the current situation is really a chain reaction. A team performed a mission, found bandits running around, and interrogated the presence of ninja troops in the country of Deshuan. Come to the rescue and find Yahiko. Minato cleared his mind, scratched his head, frowning for a while. Kyochi gave him problems, but he ran fast. Okay, you come with me. Conan takes him back, so your people don't worry. Minato thought about it. One more thing is worse than one less thing. At present, Konoha is unable to provoke Rain Shinobi Village, and does not have enough strength to destroy these ninjas. Furthermore, Yahiko and the others didn't do anything, and there was no need to exterminate them. Thank you. Yahiko bowed deeply, he knows. This made it very difficult for Minato, especially now that Minato took him back. But Minato agreed anyway, much to his surprise. Yahiko, this. Conan, you take Nagato back, don't worry about me, I'll be back soon. Yahiko comforts Conan. Be careful. Conan had mixed feelings. Unlike Yahiko, she thinks so much, she just wants to live a good life with Yahiko and Nagato, but Yahiko has her own pursuit piece. Born from childhood experiences, born of the desire to teach in Jiraiya. Dawn itself was thus created. But Kyochi's few words almost overturned Yahiko's thoughts. Conan couldn't give an answer, so she could only let Yahiko find it by herself. In addition, she knew that Li Xiao had to explain this action to Konoha Fang. Otherwise, perhaps, as Kyochi said, Hanzo will take action to wipe out Akatsuki. She wrapped Nagato in origami and watched Yahiko and Minato leave. Kyochi left over there and quickly headed towards where Asuma and the others were. In the distance, he heard the sound, but the fighting should be over, it was more of a cry of begging for mercy. Minato is only a clone, he is not worried about this end, after all, Minato is a yellow flash that will be famous in the ninja world in the future. If he can't even deal with these bandits, it will be a big embarrassment. The teacher is back. Kurenai Yuhi sensed that Kyochi was approaching, and immediately beamed with joy. Although Namikaze Minato took good care of them, but without the presence of the teacher, there was always something wrong. Asuma and Shisui were exhausted. The two were close combat positions. Compared with Yuhi-hong, their exercise volume and chakra consumption are much higher. Kakashi, on the other hand, looked at them, then at Obito, and then. Stinky Kakashi. What are you looking at? I also put out a lot of strength in fighting. Humph. He put his head aside and said nothing. Obito doesn't like to use his brain, but he really doesn't stretch his head in frontal battles, creating many opportunities for himself. However, many times, if Lin and Yuhi-hong didn't help, Obito would have been injured. In addition, my cooperation with Obito is not at the same level as that of the first class. Obviously I have actively cooperated with Obito to do things. How can I still be like this? This is where Kakashi is puzzled. Teacher. Yuhi-hong managed to stand up. Kyochi looked at the bandit who was tied up, waved his hand and said, don't stand still, everyone take a rest. Is it done over there? Minato's shadow clone hasn't come back yet, so I don't know what happened in the front. Well, almost, the rest of the finishing touches will be handled by you. Minato was stunned, and then realized that something might be wrong. He was thinking. The next moment, the space fluctuated for a while. Immediately afterwards, Shadow Clone brought another person to appear in front of him. Yahiko looked confused. There was a moment of dizziness just now, and when he opened his eyes, there was a bloody smell all around him, and there were 8 Konoha forehead protector ninjas surrounding him, and the first thing that caught his eye was Kyochi Kanda. What kind of technique is this? Yahiko was horrified. Real teleportation. And what shocked him the most was that Namikaze Minato's jutsu could also lead people. As the leader of Dawn, he knew too well how lethal such ninjutsu could be on the battlefield. To put it bluntly, this technique can change the entire situation of the battle. Konoha. Terrible. Seeing Kanda Kyochi, he thought he understood Omura's background, but only now did he realize that he still underestimated Omura's strength, especially Konoha. Kakashi gripped the short sword tightly. He recognized it, it was the Rain Shinobi ninja. My name is Yahiko, please give me your advice. Yahiko bowed slightly. While these are kids, their captain is not. Kyochi already knew that. With his chakra perception range, it is easy to check the movements of Conan and Nagato, so before returning, he roughly understands how Minato handles it. It doesn't hurt that Minato has Jiraiya on his head, and Jonin, the village's prodigy who has grown in popularity in recent years. Not to mention, Yahiko and the others were originally created by Jiraiya. If they don't recite it, can they let themselves, an outsider, take the blame? Thinking of this, Kyochi let out a breath. Not a big problem. Kyochi Jonin, the previous question, can you talk about it again? Yahiko hesitated for a moment, but finally got straight to the point and chose to ask directly. Kiyoshi thought for a moment and glanced at the system panel. There was a reward reminder before, and he thought it was over, but Yahiko caught up again. Want to talk? He thought for a while, and said, my position is Konoha, and the solution is different from yours. Why don't you find the answer yourself with doubts? Think about it, you are not young, and you are more naive than Asuma. Ask questions. But solve. Sorry, from the standpoint of Land of Rain and Dawn, he really doesn't know what to do. Hell level difficulty. Taizu may have a solution, but his old man is not here. Asuma on the side was confused. Are you looking naive? He looked at Shisui, then at Kurenai Yuhi, and both teammates nodded in support. Fine. Asuma touched his nose, silent and did not dare to refute. After hearing this, Yahiko felt that Kyochi's words made sense, but felt that he didn't understand anything. He scratched his head and didn't have a clue for a while. After a few seconds, he said confusedly, but I really don't know what to do. If peace is as simple as you think, Konoha's first generation and second generation goals have been realized long ago, but you can refer to it. Why was the ninja world peaceful during the Shodai period? Because he is very strong, no one dares to make trouble. Yahiko said. The legend of Senju Hashirama, but every ninja has heard of it. That's legendary. Hanzo only dares to be called a demigod, because the gap between him and the god of ninja is not so big, and he dare not compare with the god of ninja at all. Although he is not from Konoha, Yahiko also has respect for this adult. That's right. If you want peace, you must first have your own strength. It is unrealistic to persuade others by relying on ideals and theories. To put it crudely, you don't have to bully others if you have strength. It can also be used to calm others. Talk to you. Like you and me. Kyochi began to flicker. Certainly. It's not a fool, what he said is dry goods, which have gone through the test of characteristics. So that's how it is. Indeed. Yahiko could tell that these words were useful. Especially on the analysis of strength, indeed. If it wasn't for Kyochi's strength to directly restrain Nagato, how could he come here to talk to him face to face, and he would have run away with Nagato long ago. After hearing a few words from Kyochi, he felt quite clear. To complete one thing, you don't have to go in this direction right away. You can go in another direction first, and then turn to this direction. Maybe it will be easier. I see, your kindness of guidance, Yahiko will be remembered forever. Hearing this, Yahiko had an idea in his heart. He knelt down directly and thanked him with the seat ceremony, which surprised Minato beside him. But, incorporating Shadow Clone, he already knows the ins and outs. Kyochi's words also impressed him deeply and touched him greatly. Those answers just now seemed simple, but after careful understanding, he found that the truth was not simple. He vaguely felt that Kyochi's words would bring significant changes to Yahiko. Minato couldn't help feeling a little worried. I don't know whether it is good or bad. Senior Minato, please rest assured, I will never do anything to embarrass the teacher. Yahiko said seriously. He knew that Minato was somewhat worried. After all, Konoha was the strongest of the 5 major countries, and his actions might harm Konoha's interests. Not even Yahiko herself can guarantee it, but he can guarantee that he will never make it difficult for Jiraiya and shame him. In the distance, Kakashi and the others looked back and forth. Mr. Minato seems to have something to do with him? To be honest, I don't know what you understand, but with so many people under you, it's not easy to solve their demands. Go back and think about it. As Kyochi said, he looked at Asuma and the others, and signaled the 3 of them to leave. But Namikaze Minato immediately said, Kyochi, don't rush to leave. There are a lot of bandits alive over there. We can't handle them in one squad. Please stay and help. Silent. Fine. The task was completed, and a fat sheep was accidentally picked up. Originally, I wanted to run away, but now that I was called, I couldn't escape. Pity. Kyochi sighs. Namikaze Minato looked at Yahiko with a smile on his face and said, I will communicate this matter with the teacher and see the teacher's decision. I hope you understand this. Yes, I understand. Senior, please send my greetings to the teacher. Yahiko bowed deeply. Will do. To be honest, I thought you were going to let him go directly. Kyochi said. I really want to do that, but he asked to come here. In addition, this matter really needs an explanation. After returning to the village, I will tell the teacher. Minato sighed. On the side, Kakashi couldn't hold back and asked, Teacher, that person just now. Everyone knows who Minato's teacher is. One of the Sannin, Jiraiya. A well-known figure in the ninja world. However, there are 3 Rain Shinobi disciples in such a legend? It's incredible. He had a feeling that his 3 views had been subverted. In comparison, Kyochi's incomparably profound questions and answers were not what the 6 children cared about most. After all, they don't understand many things. Including Shisui. He was only 5 years old, so he didn't know so much truth, but he was a little different from the other 5. He memorized Kyochi's words. But at this time, he is no different from Kakashi and the others, all curious melon eaters, waiting for Namikaze Minato to reveal the answer. My teacher has taught them for a while, and it's not wrong to say that they are disciples. Although he didn't tell them clearly, the teacher thinks so in his heart. Namikaze Minato thought about it, but didn't hide anything. This kind of thing. Can't hide it at all. On Konoha's side, many high-level officials know about it. Kakashi's eyes widened. 3 disciples from other villages. And he calculated it, and soon knew the time. After Sanin became famous, Jiraiya did not return to the village for several years. It turned out that in those few years, he taught his disciples outside. Minato looked at Kyochi curiously, and asked, normally speaking, you shouldn't know about this, but judging from your behavior, it seems that you know. I've heard a few bits and pieces, and besides, that woman is so obvious. Kyochi said without thinking. Seeing Namikaze Minato, Konan's first reaction seemed to be to say something, and he was sure that Konan was debating whether to make a relationship in order to leave. But Yahiko stopped it. Have to say, among the 3, Yahiko is relatively the most thoughtful about things. Konan cares more about the 3 of them in a small group, and Nagato only cares about the 2 of them. The difference in attitude meant that after Yahiko's death, the other 2 would be nothing to worry about. So, even if Yahiko doesn't die in Hanzo's hands, the future is still in danger. Kyochi narrowed his eyes. Konan? Minato thought about it, and it was true. Konan's attitude was a little obvious, and when he saw him, he looked familiar and wanted to say something. Judging from this, it is not surprising that the 2 parties know each other. Minato sighed softly. This issue, I don't know whether it is good or bad. When you return to the village, don't say a word on this matter, understand? Kyochi turned to look at the 6. This matter is very important. If Danzo wants to operate, he can take advantage of this to make Minato and Jiraiya's reputation in the village plummet. No problem. Namikaze Minato didn't seem to care. But Kakashi and the others still nodded heavily. They rushed towards Konoha, and Kyochi and Minato came to the front side by side. Namikaze Minato asked in a low voice. The red-haired one before, does he have a special ability to get close? I don't know what it is, but it feels very dangerous, so I avoided it on purpose. Judging from the movement made, it should be a secret technique to bounce things around. It is as expected. Minato satisfied the curiosity in his heart, and then couldn't help being a little tangled. He hesitated for a while. He said, I told you that you might not believe it, I suspect that he has something to do with Pepper. Pepper? Ahem. Sorry, slip of the tongue, it's Kushina. Minato said it casually for a while, and directly replaced Kushina with the nickname, forgetting that Kyochi is not his generation at all, and may not have heard of Kushina. Because of the red hair. It's not just the hair. The main thing is that he has a lot of chakra and a strong physique. It feels like your Senju. Minato analyzed. Although he went to the Avatar before, he had experienced Nagato's state at close range, and there was basically nothing wrong with it. Certainly. Kyochi knew better. Nagato is indeed related to Kushina, his mother is from the Uzumaki tribe. But. And that's all. Minato talked more than usual. Kyochi listened silently. He felt that Minato was actually a little anxious now. Maybe he was worried about Jiraiya's situation. But this thing, he couldn't help either. The only thing that can be done is to keep silent on this matter and not spread it to the outside world. After a brief exchange, the 2 separated. One in front and one behind to prevent harassment. But entering the range of the fire country, Kyochi and Minato each used perception skills to check the surroundings, and then relaxed a little. It's safe. During the break, Kyochi took a moment to glance at the system panel. Complete the teaching of the Dawn organization problem. Evaluation. First stage, good. The second stage is excellent. Reward. Water style black rain technique, Shiki paper dance. Seeing the reward, Kyochi froze for a moment. Although the rewards for the first stage are average, there is only one black rain technique from Rain Shinobi Village, but the second one. Shiki paper dance. Konan's origami secrets. This technique itself is only B-level difficulty, but it represents an infinite possibility of ninjutsu. Even Konan has not yet developed to this point. Her origami is more of a camouflage at this stage, mainly fused into weapons such as shields and shurikens, and she has not developed shikimi dance and god paper. That was later. Not bad. Kyochi received the reward, taking advantage of the rest now, to comprehend and integrate the knowledge of origami secrets. As for Black Rain technique, this thing is not difficult at all. The only thing worthy of praise is that its ninjutsu principles let Kyochi understand how to transform chakra into black oil. If it can be combined with origami and detonating symbols. Kyochi's eyes lit up. That's not a bad idea. Try it later. Minato, that Conan's origami is very interesting. The teacher didn't mention it, it should be a newly developed technique. There is research value, let's think about it later. Kyochi raised his mouth, smoothly. Minato didn't care, and pondered origami with him, and provided some ideas. On the way, he communicated with Minato a lot. When it comes to Konoha, the relationship between Kyochi and Minato is much closer than before, and there is a lot less politeness between each other. Go back to the village. Not enough time to exchange pleasantries, Minato went to find Jiraiya. Big things matter. Fortunately, Jiraiya did not leave the village. He was worried about Minato, so he delayed leaving the village. What happened later, Kyochi didn't know, only that Jiraiya came to visit the next day with a bunch of things to eat and drink in his hand. His expression was a little complicated with joy. It's hard for Kyochi to guess what Jiraiya's reaction was after knowing everything yesterday, but judging from the way he came here with a gift, doesn't seem like the result is too bad. After entering the door, Kyochi, thank you very much. Jiraiya bowed deeply and solemnly. Master Jiraiya, there is no need to do this, I just said it casually, it is hard to say whether it will be useful now. Kyochi was a little taken aback. Jiraiya is an elder after all. It's really inappropriate to do such a big gift to yourself, but Jiraiya insisted and didn't stop because of Kyochi's words. Fortunately, it is inside the house. Jiraiya brought things in and put them on the table, and Kyochi threw a futon over. The two sat down. The atmosphere was different from the last time we met. In the tavern before, Kyochi was a junior, and when Jiraiya called him in, he actually met him and let Orochimaru get to know him again. But this time, there are many things that Orochimaru and Tsunade don't know about, such as why I took Yahiko and them as apprentices. Jiraiya poured a glass of wine and spoke with a smile. It seems, he intends to share his secret with Kyochi. Kyochi opened his mouth, he deliberately refused. But, after thinking about it, I feel that knowing this matter seems to be nothing. Mount Myoboku didn't know him again. Jiraiya began to talk about how she went to Mount Myoboku and then met Toad Sage, and she babbled from beginning to end, similar to the stories seen in Kyochi's previous life Hokage. The only difference is, in Jiraiya's mouth, he became wise and powerful. Toad Sage saw him and thought he was a genius, begging him to sign a contract with Mount Myoboku. Whoever has the problem obviously doesn't need to think too much about it. Kyochi just pretends not to know. So, you were willing to stay and teach the three of them. In addition to sympathy, there is actually a layer of feeling. Do you think they may be the children of your prophecy? Kyochi continued. Well, it turned out to be my point. Nagato is not a simple kid. He is probably a member of Kushina's tribe, as Minato said. Jiraiya still wasn't quite telling the truth. Rinnegan. Immortal eyes, he concealed it. After hearing this, Kyochi just nodded and sighed, no wonder it's so powerful. Do you have the nerve to say that? Jiraiya was stunned for a moment, and then couldn't help complaining. Let others say that. After all, Nagato is indeed a genius, he can learn all kinds of ninjutsu very quickly, and even Rinnegan, although at that time he seemed to only show the power to bounce others away, but it is clear that Nagato has a great future. Both he and Yahiko think so. It is not so much a fancy to the three, it is better to say that it is a fancy to Nagato. But the genius identified by Jiraiya was defeated by Kyochi, who was 3 or 4 years younger. Even according to Minato's description, Kyochi had several chances to kill Nagato, but did not choose to do so. I have to thank you about Nagato, if you weren't merciful. I won't kill him. These three are obviously the leaders of the ninjas in Rain Shinobi Village. Killing any one of them may bring a new war to Konoha. Konoha cannot bear it now. Kyochi replied. He had planned his speech beforehand. Furthermore, this was indeed Kyochi's consideration at the time, and he even thought about killing the three of Nagato and stealing Rinnegan's plan to the extreme. But that's too bad, it's tantamount to putting yourself on the chopping block of Black Zetsu and Madara. A gentleman does not stand under a dangerous wall. After hearing Kyochi's words, Jiraiya didn't doubt it, because Kyoshi understands this, which proves that his eyes are on the overall situation, not just in front of him. That's true, but now Yahiko and the others are still very weak. Fortunately, with your guidance this time, they can avoid many detours and even avoid a death. Jiraiya sighed. These are what I should do as a teacher, but in fact, I haven't seen them since those 3 years. There have been frequent wars in recent years, and Ms. Tsunade has left again. There is no way. Kyoshi understands. When Jiraiya left Konoha later, there was already news that Yahiko was killed by Hanzo, so it was naturally impossible for him to look for it again. Yes. Down with a glass of wine. Jiraiya babbled about some past events. A lot of. Finally, he sighed. From now on, I have nothing to do with that position, ha ha ha. Of course, I have never cared about Hokage's position. Atmosphere. Kyoshi fills him a glass. Jiraiya took a sip, then took out a scroll and said, this scroll is a secret technique of Minato. Kyoshi looked at the scroll, then at Jiraiya. Most likely Rasengan. But, what is this for? In a sense, you saved Yahiko and the others. This is my sympathy. You are the same kind of person as Orochimaru. You are full of curiosity about ninjutsu that you don't know. This is for you. You can choose whether to teach others. People. Jiraiya smiled. But later, he was in a bad mood again, and his smile was forced. Eat and drink. After a long time, he abruptly said a word. By the way, don't get me wrong, no one can stop Orochimaru from doing what he wants to do. If he has any thoughts about you, don't worry about my thoughts and Tsunade's thoughts. No, but if there is such a day, I will. Kyoshi nods. Jiraiya must have chatted with third generation yesterday and learned a lot of information from it, such as the Jonin exam, the situation of the candidates, the Orochimaru exam questions, etc. Knowing this, a lot of information is not difficult to guess. After Jiraiya finished speaking, she stood up holding the wine bottle. Not much else to say. Knowing too much is not a good thing, especially for a child with high talents and many ideas like you. You don't drink the wine anyway, the meat is kept for you, and the wine is taken away. Jiraiya waved his hand, indicating that Kyoshi doesn't need to send it. Subsequently, he got up and disappeared in an instant after reaching the door. Body flicker technique. The direction of departure is the entrance of the village. Jiraiya is leaving. Certainly. Instead of leaving the village like Tsunade, he was ordered to go to the north to investigate the movement information of several ninja villages such as Iwagakure and Cloud Shinobi Village. More precisely, it should be to coordinate the operation of Anbu in the north. Information processing is too important. If all the information is sent to the Hokage building from the north, and then the approval is processed, I am afraid that Iwagakure will not respond until they reach the Land of Fire. This is the original task. It made Kyoshi ponder. What the hell did Jiraiya talk to third generation yesterday? Look. Jiraiya was clearly not happy. Forget it, third generation. None of my business. Kyoshi shakes his head. That's how he feels about third generation. It can't be said to be good, but it can't be said to be bad, but if he evaluates it, third generation is far behind Senju Tobarama. Kyoshi opened the scroll. Really? On the scroll, there are Rasengan, training methods and ninjutsu ideas. Inspired by the tailed beast bomb. The ultimate goal is to integrate into chakra nature transformation. Pity, currently, even Namikaze Minato has not made it this far. In fact, Kyoshi himself knows how to practice. But he was still very satisfied with the scroll. The important thing is not the jutsu itself, but Minato wrote in detail on the scroll all Rasengan's ideas from inspiration to construction and creation, which are much more precious than ninjutsu. As expected of Namikaze Minato, no wonder it took 3 years to create this art. Kyoshi watched all night. This is a rare time for him to stay up late after time traveling. Achieve a lot. Namikaze Minato got the inspiration of Rasengan from tailed beast bomb, and then tried to compress chakra, but failed. Even. For Rasengan, he considered sealing aids. Exercising with balloons, that was all later. The step-by-step exploration in the middle is recorded by Minato in this scroll. It's not just Rasengan involved, and a lot of other knowledge. For example, compression techniques, sealing. Although incomplete, it is still precious. Kyoshi put it away. This is treasured. Certainly. The most valuable thing about the scroll is, as the founder, Namikaze Minato allowed him to teach the secret art himself. Jiraiya is so generous. Kyoshi is very clear that the main core is still Jiraiya. Namikaze Minato and Yahiko are strangers to each other, and it is also because of Jiraiya that there is so much blood, and all the excerpts of Rasengan's original manuscripts are taken out. Finish watching. He let go, and the scroll automatically flew up and flew towards the bookshelf next to it. Shiki paper dance. Very simple to use, yet convenient. Certainly. Shikimi dance is not without its weaknesses. It takes a long time to prepare. In the future, Konan's paper has been specially treated, so it is only afraid of oil ninjutsu, and there is not much weakness. But these preparations take a lot of chakra and time. Scratch paper will work too, it works. There is more than a little difference, and there are many weaknesses. Kyoshi felt a little regretful, but after thinking about it, he felt normal. There is no perfect technique. Gaara has to carry a big gourd all day. The next few days, he tried to make some special paper with the skill of Shiki paper dance. It works great. Among other things, the several combat uses of the Hikari paper dance are very powerful, especially when combined with the detonating talisman, the effect. It's hard to guard against. If Konan had already mastered the systematic Shikiji dance in the country of Kawa, he would not be able to deter the three of them so easily. Sure enough, Shaoli has no one to mess with. The most common is probably Yahiko, but he has brains. Kyoshi is curious now, what will Yahiko choose to do after bringing people back to Rain Shinobi Village? Unfortunately, the communication in this world is not so developed. In Konoha, there is no way to know what happened in Rain Shinobi Village. In addition to the dance of Shikiji, Kyoshi has mastered certain techniques of compressing chakra. The previous water severing wave had compression techniques. Plus Rasengan. Kyoshi tried to compress wind-style chakra to make wind-style ninjutsu more powerful. Great breakthrough obviously won't work, but vacuum wave and vacuum sword fit perfectly, it works. The power has been greatly improved, but this technique requires extremely high control of chakra, otherwise it may hurt itself. At present, Asuma and the others have not yet reached the learning threshold. In addition to studying ninjutsu, he did not forget to teach his 3 children. Yesterday, Shisui's wind-style nature transformation has paid off. So, in addition to Asuma, Shisui is now teaching wind-style. Fortunately, wind-style has learned a lot of ninjutsu recently. Teacher, we haven't accepted the task for a week. No money? Kyoshi glanced at Asuma with a smile. This kid has been very shy recently, and I heard that he even invited other students to have a barbecue. Asuma blushed when she heard that. Does this have anything to do with having no money? Alright. A little bit. 3rd generation doesn't give money, let him earn it by himself. Recently, he has no assignments and the cost is too high, so he really can't bear it. This B-level mission is an accident. You are still far from completing the real B-level mission. Don't be complacent after completing it once. These days are just a good time to improve your strength. Kyoshi hit them mercilessly. But in fact, he didn't consider accepting the task recently, simply because he was busy with research and didn't have time to go out. Hong, have you finished reading the book I gave you the other day? Teacher, I've finished reading. I'm also practicing healing jutsu. I recently tried fish. Are your parents tired of eating fish? Kyoshi smiled half-smile. Yuhi Hong blushed, pinching her cuffs and saying nothing. The fish in her refrigerator may not be eaten up this month. Yuhi Zhenhong's face is bitter when she sees fish recently. Everyone smiled. Medical ninjutsu is difficult, it's acknowledged. Every medical ninja starts off as a fish. Let's go, let's see what the mission is. Kyoshi stretched. Go to the Hokage building. Just about to go in. Master Kyoshi, Master Hokage let you pass. A Chunin waits downstairs. Kyoshi was stunned for a moment, then nodded slightly, indicating that the 3 of Shisui would wait below, and then he entered the room and went to the 3rd generation office. 3rd generation is smoking. Indoors, there is the smell of shredded tobacco. Kyoshi waved his hand to blow away the smell of smoke, and entered the door to greet him. I wanted to find you a few days ago. I heard that you have been doing research, so I didn't bother you. Your kid gave me a problem. Seeing Kyoshi enter the door, 3rd generation put out the cigarette and let out a long sigh. Master Hokage? Kyoshi knew that it was probably because of Yahiko. Just received the information that Yahiko went back to Rain Shinobi Village and seems to have gone to meet Hanzo of the Salamander. 3rd generation took out the scroll of information. Kyoshi glanced at it. Yahiko went to find Hanzo? Nice idea. Rain Shinobi Village is able to gain a foothold among the 3 major countries, and Hanzo is absolutely indispensable. If Hanzo can regain his ambition, Use his name to grow the Rain Shinobi Village, and then gradually develop it. It may not be possible for the Rain Shinobi Village to become the leader of the small country and lead the wind direction of the surrounding small countries. Certainly. These are his thoughts. From the perspective of third generation. He may not be happy. Kyochi put down the scroll and said, I think this is a good thing. When Rain Shinobi Village is strong, it can become a barrier between us and Iwagakure. If Onogi wants to attack us, he must pay attention to this thorn. Jiraiya said the same thing. Third generation nodded. After putting away the scroll, he said, the matter of Rain Shinobi Village is currently decided as such. If Yahiko and the others join Hanzo, influence Hanzo's decision-making, and make him more friendly to Konoha, it may not be a bad thing. Then, Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up and took out another scroll. Kyochi is a little confused. Take a look. Analysis of Mist Shinobi Technique. What do you mean? Send them east to deal with Kirigakure. Kyochi was a little puzzled, the people in his team. In the current state, go to play with Mist Shinobi Ninja, isn't that delivering food? Cough. Learn first. The country of water is a little restless, and I may need your support later. You know, Konoha is now too few people. My lord, you were really not afraid. Kyochi was speechless. For Genin, the most dangerous place is the east. Mist Shinobi may not be able to do anything else. Mausai does have a hand. Mist Shinobi Technique and Silent Assassination, unless you have special abilities, or with the strength of Genin, you will be in a very dangerous situation if you meet a few Mist Shinobi ninjas. He is not afraid. But Asuma? That's hard to say. I believe in your ability. It's a bit stressful. Okay, Master Hokage, I have nothing to do, I'll go first. Kyochi went out, savored it carefully, and couldn't help smiling. Think about it too. How could Hokage not know anything about Rain Shinobi Village? He is Hokage. At the same time, he can guess some of the conversation between Jiraiya and third generation. Obviously. In some respects, the two could not agree at all. Jiraiya probably said that he would not be Hokage, that's why he chatted with him later, and Jiraiya probably didn't explain some of the messages he had with Nagato. I hid it. Kyochi doesn't care, his strength is obvious or not, and the difference is not big, but Nagato can't say for sure. That's Rinnegan. Too bad it's hot. Teacher, did you have a new task when you were called over? Asuma was excited. Is this another task above B level? That would be great. You're looking for Lord Third Generation again? Kurenai Yuhi turned to look at Asuma. Asuma was stunned. Then, he blushed and retorted loudly. How is it possible? I didn't look for it last time, he gave it to me. Ha ha ha. A group of ninjas inside laughed. The mission hall is full of cheerful atmosphere. Rumors of Asuma. Everyone has heard some of them, so it's hard to say whether it's true or not. But high probability is true. Because of Asuma's name, there is really a record of B-level missions. Kyochi patted him on the shoulder and smiled. Don't get me wrong, it has nothing to do with you this time. It didn't matter last time. Asuma fried hair. Alright. Yuhi Hong smiled and followed. Shisui watched from the beginning to the end. When passing by. Actually, it doesn't matter if you have it. When you have strength, you are not afraid of others talking nonsense. Shisui said in a low voice. After speaking, he quickly followed Kyochi's pace. Asuma froze for a moment. The family knows their own affairs. Looking for. Of course there is. But he didn't want to admit it, but after listening to Shisui's words, he thought about it and felt that it made sense. Yes. Why are you so concerned? Now that you are strong, who are you afraid of gossiping? The main thing is to become stronger. Asuma held kunai tightly and strode inside. Kyochi took a random C-level mission. The escort task is not difficult, but this time he explained to Asuma and the others that unless there is a possibility of their death, they will never take action. Asuma says. Just right. After 2 life and death fights, they are no longer what they were at the beginning. For general C-level tasks, you can complete them with absolute confidence. So, after seeing the escort caravan, Kyochi sat in the car, while Asuma and the others ran outside, making Asuma's people feel paralyzed. Kyochi is also known as Exercise. This C-level mission was safe and sound. The enemy was a few wandering ninjas, but they were successfully killed and repulsed by Asuma and the others. The guard ends. On the way back, Kyochi taught them a new jutsu. Vacuum Wave. Class B Ninjutsu. Kurenai Yuhi's key right now is Medical Ninjutsu. This time, one of the wandering ninjas was seriously injured, and Kyochi asked her to try to heal him. Although it was not saved, but Anyway, it is also experience. It's not that Kyochi was cruel. These wandering ninjas attacked caravans and looted property. If they were not rescued, they would be ambushed by caravan guards. But once they were saved, there was a slight chance of survival. Didn't survive? Let it go. Kyochi wouldn't try to save him. Kurenai Yuhi is in a bad mood, but this is a necessary process for a medical ninja. Even Tsunade, not everyone can be saved. He doesn't want his disciple to suffer from mental illness in the future like Tsunade. After returning, rest for a day. The next day, he took Shisui and the others out to do missions again. Still C grade. In short, do the task if you have one, and don't dislike it. After all, Kyochi doesn't need to do anything, he can study ninjutsu normally, and there will be a lot of dividends in the end. Kurenai Yuhi practices medical ninjutsu. The work is done by Shisui and Asuma. However, instead of feeling oppressed, they felt that they had been trained a lot. Win all. The squad where no one gets hurt becomes. But the days of ease are coming to an end soon. After returning to Konoha again, Kyochi Jonin, Lord 3rd Generation wants you to go there. Silent. Have to. There must be something wrong. Kyochi bid farewell to the 3 disciples and came to the Hokage building. Meeting room. Many Jonin are already listed, such as Namikaze Minato. Seeing Kyochi coming, he gave Kyochi a wink, and Kyochi knew to stand beside him. What's going on? Chunin exam. Namikaze Minato communicated in a low voice. Kyochi understood. Chunin exam, too. It has been 2 or 3 months since I graduated, and there is no war right now, but war may break out again at any time. I must speed up the promotion of genin, but the only way to promote Chunin is to rely on exams. Konoha's education and promotion system is still too casual. So what if you pass the exam? Naruto won the exam, the competition, and finally became a Chunin. Furthermore, Kakashi is already Chunin. It's not fair to others that he participates. What about Obito and Lin if they don't participate? 3rd Generation talked about the exam, looked around, and asked, this year's situation is special, do you have any comments? Kyochi found out. When 3rd Generation asked questions, his eyes were mainly on himself. After thinking about it, he didn't speak. Who knows if the 3rd Generation wants to help themselves, or if they want to keep their mouths shut. It's no good talking about it. As for the others. Kyochi took a look and saw that Minato's expression was not right. See yourself look over. Minato said in a low voice, it was I who sensed your return, and suggested that 3rd Generation ask you what you think. Silent. What about cheating? Fine. 3rd Generation coughed lightly and said, Kyochi, you are quite talented in education, do you have anything to say? Master Hokage, I don't have many opinions, but I have a few questions. Kyochi had no choice but to stand up. You say. The 3rd Generation sat upright and became curious. He thought the Chunin exam was fine, but Kyochi had several more questions. There are so many problems in the exam that I made myself? My lord, this year's situation is special. Many students have been on the battlefield, and some teams even have children with Chunin positions. If they join the whole team, will it be unfair to others? Silent. 3rd Generation leaned back in the chair, lost in thought. Kyochi means obvious. Hitaki Kakashi, 6-year-old Chunin. Although he is still 9 years old now, he obviously does not have the same level of strength as others. Is there any more? Also, can this kind of team combat test really reveal a person's overall quality? Some fight all the way up, but they don't get promoted in the end. Is it fair to them? Kyochi shrugged. What is Chunin? On the battlefield, they serve as the command of many genin teams and are the mainstay. Not only look at the strength, but also look at the brain. 3rd Generation was silent when asked. After thinking for a long time, he sighed. After all, the exam is not a battlefield, so we can't cover everything, but what you said is indeed a very important question. Is there anything you can do? My suggestion is to disrupt the formation of all teams, let them reorganize their teams, and participate in the competition with new teams. Kyochi said flatly. Disrupt the organization? Minato and Baya Yunzao waited for several Jonins to look at each other. This, isn't the previous running in all in vain? Yes. Redistribute personnel with certain rationality, remove them from familiar teammates, let them regroup to take the exam, and finally select Chunin from each team commander. Kyochi explained. 3rd Generation pondered for a long time, and finally asked, do you still have matching exam questions? No. Okay, this Chunin exam plan is up to you to formulate. After completion, I will count it as an A-level task for you. Everyone needs to cooperate. Just say, even me, you can transfer it. Third generation ignored Kyochi's answer. This kid hides clumsiness. When I asked who had opinions before, Kyochi didn't speak, but after the roll call, a bunch of questions pointed to the core, and there were quite mature suggestions. If there is no matching plan, who believes it? Anyway, he doesn't believe it. The third generation is gone. Leave everyone behind and continue the meeting here. Minato, you've made me miserable. Kyochi sighs. Isn't this a good thing? A-level missions pay a lot. Minato was rather embarrassed, but, isn't that great? He was worried about Kakashi at the beginning, but now Kyochi has solved it perfectly. Mess up the compilation. Why didn't I think of it? The only problem is, in this way, Obito basically has no fate with Chunin this year. Obito is not a matter of strength. In terms of strength, he thinks that Obito should be at the top of this batch of genin, but this kid looks at the front and does not look at the back, and looks left and right, just like what Kyochi said. Miss a brain. Kyochi Jonin, your questions and suggestions are really things we haven't thought about. Maybe young people do have a lot of ideas. You need to use your brain more during the Chunin exam. But if there is a need, you can ask Mr. Hokage to relay it. I will definitely help. Bai Yun greeted him with a smile in the morning, with a humble attitude, completely opposite to his hideous scar. Kyochi has met him a few times, he participated in the Jonin exam before. Now Kyochi actually knows a lot. Bai Yunzao was an Anbu ninja before, and he had a high position in Anbu. Taking the Jonin exam was just a formality, and he also became the team leader Jonin of Might Guy. This is where it is different from the original. Fine. Kyochi was helpless. The Chunin exam is a thing that is not appreciated, and the system may not have any rewards to get. He was not interested in being responsible, and he just wanted to let his subordinates participate and mess around. Anyway, with the war together, everyone can quickly become a Chunin. But, unexpectedly, Minato fooled himself. Minato, this time you tricked me, I won't let you run if you want. Kyochi's eyes were menacing. Minato coughed lightly, and said, don't worry, I will respond to your request. What's your plan? Why don't we sum it up here, just as everyone is here? Also, Kyochi sat down and all the Jonin found a place to sit around. He thought about it, and outlined his plan. My idea is this. Whether the theory test is up to you. For the second test, we will set up the test room first, and arrange food and weapons such as Binglangwen, Kunai, Shuriken. Kyochi speaks his mind. His meaning. Simply put, ninja battle royale. Every once in a while, Jonin starts an indiscriminate sweep from the outside, driving candidates to the inside of the circle. After hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. Can the exam still play like this? You mean, in the second exam, we confiscated everything from the candidates, and they have to search for all the items themselves, but here comes the question. What if there are ninja beasts like the Inuzuka clan? Minato raised his doubts. Ninja dogs are part of strength. Kyochi said. Although the ninja dogs of the Inuzuka clan are powerful, they are not without ways to deal with them. The other Jonins nodded after hearing this. Really? The Inuzuka clan has ninja dogs, and other ninjas, don't they also have summoning beasts? The same. Before the start of the competition, we will show the map of resource points to all candidates. This is an intelligence test. Well, we can also regularly release knives, special military food pellets, detonating symbols, etc., and release signal flares when these things are released. Team battle. Everyone is Jonin. After Kyochi said it one by one, they could quickly understand the purpose of this rule. To the end. Bai Yun pondered for a moment in the morning, and said tangledly, this set of rules is very good, but I am a little worried, will it be too difficult? Indeed, it's regrouping and scrambling for resources, which is much more difficult than the previous Chunin exams. Another chimed in. Chunin exam. It is not an exaggeration to use this set as a Jonin exam. It is not so difficult to take the Genin test. But everyone, Konoha may go to war with other villages again at any time. As the commander, if Chunin lets a drunk and rice bag get promoted, isn't it irresponsible to Genin? Kyochi was heartbroken. Although he proposed this plan because he thought it was fun, but it is true that this ninja battle royale is much more comprehensive than snatching scrolls. Intelligence, teamwork, and command are indispensable. Others waited for a long time, and finally found that they had nothing to give. Kyochi thought of everything. Compared to. What was it in the past? It's too low level to snatch the scroll. Traditional is not necessarily correct. Minato sighed inwardly. Kyochi Jonin, I think this kind of test can be popularized. You can write a detailed proposal. Nara Shikahisa said. He rarely speaks because he is not leading the Jonin. But Kyochi's plan is really good, much better than the previous Scroll Wars. After thinking for a while, he asked, so for the third exam, what do you think? Individual battles. What ideas do you have? If you really want to do something different, at most it is to apply the same mode of individual battles, but turn the squad into individuals. Kyochi said. Nara Deer thought for a long time, and his eyes lit up. He understands the benefits of this model. It used to be an arena battle. But wars are not carried out in the arena. Everyone is in the wild, assassinations, ambushes, and sneak attacks abound, who will compete with you in the arena. The students selected by this kind of examination are more suitable for the rhythm of war. He nodded and said, be sure to ask Kyochi Jonin to write a plan, and I will ask Lord Third Generation to give you more rewards. That's a good feeling. Kyochi smiled. Lu Ju is a staff officer and will not make random promises. Since he said so, the promotion reward is basically stable. The reward for A-level missions is generally between 150,000 and 1 million taels, and there is too much room for manipulation in this middle figure. New weapons have arrived. After the plan is finalized, the next step is writing and embellishing the pen. Everyone dispersed. Outside the building, Kyochi blocks Minato. Minato, you said before that you can do anything you ask for, right? Yes. Hey, that's it. I've been a little busy recently, so I'll trouble you about writing the plan. No. Minato was stunned after hearing this. He was about to object when he saw that Kyochi in front of him had gradually faded into an afterimage. Improved body flicker technique. Minato was speechless. What a deal. Busy. Ghost letter. After thinking about it, he couldn't help shaking his head slightly. Never mind. Anyway, it's not a big deal, just write it. Kyochi has already made the plan very clear, and it only takes about a day. Not a big problem. As for Kyochi himself, after slipping away, he went to have a look at the three disciples. The three of them were conscious and started running around Konoha. Very energetic. Kyochi didn't bother. He found a store, bought something to eat and sat down to read. There is no time to read Tsunade's pile of books unless we hurry up. Teacher, are you back? Shisui ran, passed by the door of the store, and glanced inside to see Kyochi sitting there. Kyochi moved the book away and glanced at it. Yes, I didn't bother you when I came back and saw that you were practicing hard. Yes. Shisui walked in. He looked around, hesitated to speak. Kyochi said angrily. Just say what you have to say. 5-year-olds seem older than Asuma, that's not good. Yes, I want to ask, is the Chunin exam about to start? Asked Shisui. Kyochi frowned, put down the book and looked at him. No, I see a lot of genin squads coming back. Shisui explained. Well, the Chunin exam is about to start. I originally planned to wait until you all came. Kyochi nods. Shisui clenched his fist, looking unusually excited. After a while, Asuma and Yuhihong found here one after another. The staff is here. The Chunin exam is about to start. Here is the registration form. If you are interested, you can write it down. It doesn't matter if you don't want to take the exam. This exam is different from the past. Kyochi didn't elaborate, but the three of them quickly understood. Teacher, strong. Different? Definitely the topic is from Kyochi. I won't disclose the topic, but in the next few days, special training can be launched. Yes. Everyone is in high spirits. Chunin exam. Although it may not be possible to pass, it is also good to see the strength of other teams. Asuma took the opportunity to sit down and ate along with her. After following Kyochi, his face gradually thickened, and he did not have the pride and integrity of the eldest son of the Sarutobi family. Certainly. Neither did Shisui. He doesn't look like a Uchiha now. He neither wears clothes with the Uchiha family emblem on his body, nor does he talk about Uchiha. Even if he is doing the tasks of carrying water and chopping firewood, he still charges forward. Had it not been for this period of time, carrying water and chopping firewood would have been turned into tasks, and he might still help some people for free every day. The same goes for Obito. These two are outliers for Uchiha. The difference is, Obito is purer now, and more retarded in the future. Kyochi didn't mean to look down on Obito, but this person is really a deadhead, and the difficulty of teaching him is more than 10 times that of Shisui. As for the sunset red, a figure flashed in Kyochi's mind. Haruno Sakura. Kurenai Yuhi is good at illusion, but in reality, she is similar to little Sakura's initial template. Powerful chakra control. Clear mind. Illusion talent. The only difference may be that there is another she inside the little Sakura. Kyochi pondered for a long time, and finally made a decision in his mind. Weird power. When Kurenai Yuhi masters medical ninjutsu, she will teach her the magic power technique to defend herself. Kyochi won't know it now, because there is no such secret technique in the study, but it is not a big problem. There is a living animal, and he can ask Tsunade for advice at any time. But in the practice of Yuhihong physique technique, it is enough to reach the step of strange power technique. Enough for self-defense. Her main methods are illusion and medical ninjutsu. Thinking of this, Kyochi has a complete training plan in mind. Asuma, you practice as usual, the next step is to master fire style yourself. Yes. Shisui, pause your swordsmanship, and then practice vacuum sword and vacuum wave. Yes. Hong, I hope you will complete your healing jutsu practice before the exam. We won't be doing any missions anymore. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Kyochi gave orders one by one. Although there is no leak, targeted training is possible. Certainly, he's not the only one doing this. All the Jonin were at the meeting, everyone knew it. Kyochi felt that training was necessary. It is impossible to always have a weapon at hand on the battlefield. Such as Kakashi. In the original book, Chidori is flawed, the chakra knife is broken, and it seems to have lost half of its strength in an instant. If you lose your sword, you will lose 5 successes. Isn't this a pit? Yuhihong nodded heavily. She is very clear. If you pass the Chunin exam, you will be able to healing jutsu and illusion, which will be a great guarantee for your teammates. Asuma and Shisui don't quite understand, but they know that Kyochi will not cheat them. After one day, Minato came with a document, which is a detailed plan of Kyochi's plan. It was ghost written by Minato, very clear. It even writes the intention and test points of each item, which is very user-friendly. Take a closer look at third generation from beginning to end. After a long time, he sighed. My lord, are you not satisfied with this proposal? Minato was surprised. The more he wrote yesterday, the more he felt that Kyochi's method was more appropriate and comprehensive than the original one, and could better reflect the complexity and change of war. Grabbing scrolls is indeed a struggle. But on the battlefield, is there really such a simple mission environment? Impossible. On the battlefield, Jonin will also attack Genin. But Minato noticed that third generation seemed to be in a bad mood after watching it. No, I'm just sighing. When it comes to innovation, it still depends on you young people, like me. I'm old, I can't do it. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled. He has always had a deep understanding of the city, but when he saw Kyochi's plan today, he suddenly found that he had been in office for many years, except for following the teacher's many rules. It seemed that he had never promoted his own things. Oh. There are still. He graduated early and was pulled out by himself again. Worse than a child, so even third generation can't help being a little gaff. Certainly. He quickly regained his composure and didn't reveal much. After all, he is Hokage. Third generation said sternly. Just follow this set of plans. How to mix the contestants is up to you, Minato. Yes. Namikaze Minato nodded, and then asked, what about Kyochi's compensation? The village is short of money. When I went back to the Chunin exam, I asked him if he could use other things instead. Third generation pondered for a moment and said, generally speaking, the village will not be short of money. But things are different now. The war has just ended, and follow-up frictions may break out at any time. The village's money is really not enough. Yes, then I will draw up a plan. Namikaze Minato didn't ask further. Since third generation has a decision, he won't say much about it, and Kyochi's compensation will never be lost. He has nothing but admiration for Kyochi. It's not that no one has thought about reforming the Chunin exam, but there has been no good way for a long time. Too much reenactment of the battlefield. It is too difficult, few people can pass. Too simple. That's not okay. Anyone can be a Chunin, isn't it the same as playing? Over time, everyone thought about it, and it seemed that the old one was easy to use, so they continued to use the old one, and didn't think about it again. But the Kyochi set is different. Intelligence collection, command ability, and strength competition are all taken into consideration. Relatively speaking, it can better reflect the quality of Chunin. The biggest problem now is how to group? Wrong. I have to give special training to Obito and Lin, otherwise, without Kakashi, it is hard to say whether Lin can become a Chunin, and Obito will definitely not be able to pass the second level. At this moment, Minato regretted it. He felt that he was not causing trouble for Kyoshi, but he was creating a lot of trouble for himself. Time flies. Kyoshi is busy these days. It's not Asuma and Shisui, they are more worry-free for themselves. Basically give them ninjutsu and taijutsu, and let them practice and study by themselves. And the two of them exercise and study, and their proficiency in ninjutsu and taijutsu moves will also increase. It is basically a stable fat sheep. It was Yuhihong who had a headache. Medical ninjutsu is indeed not that easy to teach. During the period, Kyoshi sent a letter to ask Tsunade for some advice, and she was very cooperative without any impatience. This makes Kyoshi like this Katsuyu sage even more. Among the 3 holy places, it is estimated that Katsuyu Immortal is the best to speak. He asked about the mystery of the strange power technique, and mentioned Kurenai Yuhi. Tsunade didn't reply all afternoon, but when the live slug came again, it brought a scroll. Handwritten strange power technique. Kyoshi quickly got the hang of it. His chakra control is so strong that he doesn't need to adapt. However, at the current level of strange power technique, it is not as straightforward as using a sword, unless it is combined with the 7-day call. Certainly. This is relative to Kyoshi's own swordsmanship. For Kurenai Yuhi, even the initial mastery of the strange power technique is enough to make up for her lack of melee combat as an auxiliary ninja. But the premise of everything is that Yuhihong has completely mastered healing jutsu. Fortunately. Teacher, it succeeded. Very good, you can go and announce the good news to Senior Zhenheng. There is no need to add fish to his refrigerator. A smile crept across Kyoshi's face. It's done. Shi Hahong sat down, feeling a little dizzy in front of her eyes, and quickly took a Binglang pill. Next, I'm going to teach you a physical technique. You should have heard of Master Tsunade, right? Yuhihong nodded again and again, her eyes shining. Tsunade is her idol. As a female ninja, her biggest goal is to become a great ninja like Tsunade. So, she guessed what kind of gymnastics it was. Miss Tsunade's taijutsu may not be suitable for you, because your physique is relatively poor, so you can't use this move as a regular move. Kyoshi said seriously. Although Wailajutsu is ninjutsu, it is mostly used by chakra, but it needs to mobilize the muscles of the body to cooperate to produce an instant burst. Yuhihong obviously does not have such a physical quality. As a trump card. Hong was disappointed at first, but soon understood what the teacher meant. Yes, for this move, you have to learn to use your feet, because your hands need mudras. Understood. Ask the teacher to advise. Yuhihong bowed deeply. Kyoshi took out the scroll and let her read it for herself first. Yu Hahong looked at it for a while, and immediately started to practice. It's hard. Even, during the process, she strained her ligament several times, but she refused Kyoshi's help and healed it with healing jutsu herself. She is not afraid of hardship, not far away. Yuhi Zhenheng was carrying a basket of food. I'm worried that her mother will feel distressed when she sees it, so she will bring it here by herself. Please let her remember to eat. In addition, thank you very much for your teaching. Yuhi Zhenheng bowed deeply. He knows exactly what Kyoshi is teaching. Strange power technique. The secret technique of the Senju family. It's nothing, if she is willing to learn and endure hardship, I will teach, and she will be successful. Kyoshi was filled with emotion. Such words. He had thought in his previous life that it might be useful when communicating with a certain parent. Did not expect. It came in handy after crossing. Yuhi Zhenheng bowed and left. After staying for a long time, the daughter can find him. But Kyoshi knows that Yuhihong's perception ability is very strong, and it is estimated that he has already felt it at this moment. Because she worked out harder. Let's eat. I must not let them down. Effort is the least valuable thing in the ninja world. You are working hard to improve, and so are others. So when it comes to the battlefield, cooperation and command and dispatch are more important. Except for hookers and lunatics. Kyoshi thought to himself. Obviously, Yuhihong is not a coward, nor is she a physical madman like Might Guy. These days, every team is in special training. Shisui has mastered several ninjutsu that do not require ninja equipment. These days, he is practicing illusion, Willow, and Kyoshi's own lightsaber technique. Although Shisui guessed that there might be problems with ninja equipment in the Chunin exam, he felt that his main focus was on swordsmanship, the instantaneous body technique, so he naturally didn't let it go. Asuma's side is even simpler. He also wanted to continue to practice, not to be affected by the Chunin exam, so Kyoshi taught Hien to him. Take it from the people and use it for the people. Kyoshi has gained a lot for himself. Proficiency is not mentioned. In wind style ninjutsu, he has mastered another wind style. Wind style harm. The powerful ninjutsu can be called the card ninjutsu in wind style. Although there is no blessing in wind style, it is better to have one more ninjutsu than nothing. At the same time, the Chunin exam will also begin. Kyoshi received the news in advance and came to the venue to arrange the examination room. Most of the resource points were sealed in boxes, and drugs were sprinkled around to avoid damage from the surrounding beasts. Once that's done, the third generation comes. Master Hokage. Kyoshi, is the exam room set up? Yes, the resource map of the examination room has been drawn in advance, and it can be shown to the students after the first test. Kyoshi pulled out a huge scroll. Here is a map of the examination room. Third generation nodded, looked at the entire death forest from a height, and then coughed lightly and said, Kyoshi, Konoha is very short of money now. This time I promised to give you an A-level reward, but there is really no money. Why do you want to renege on your debt? Don't get me wrong, it's not that I won't give it. Money is relatively scarce now, so you can use other things instead, such as ninjutsu and supplies. Third generation coughed lightly. Kyoshi's eyes clearly misunderstood him. That's not a problem. I wanted to make a chakra weapon. Do you have chakra iron here? Obviously there are. Because Asuma's fist blade has not been made yet. This, third generation hesitated for a moment, and finally nodded slightly, no problem, but you need to pay more. Yes. Kyoshi agrees happily. Chakra iron may not be able to buy it with money, but this wave is definitely profitable. The exam is about to start, let's talk about the details later. Third generation breathed a sigh of relief. It's good to be able to talk. I'm afraid that this kid will die for money. At this time, the ninjas entered the arena one after another. Except for Jonin who led the team outside, only 2 people did not enter: Hitaki Kakashi, and Might Dai who was promoted to a special Jonin. At this time, Dai was crying bitterly, forming a beautiful landscape with Might Guy. Third generation looked around. Not many attend. Because some of them have already been promoted in the war, and the remaining few Genins have not signed up for many years, so this time the contestants are mostly Genins who have graduated within the past 3 or 4 years. Observed, is Tsunade alright? Fortunately, I made some money recently and paid off part of the debt. You don't have to worry about the creditor chasing Konoha. Can Tsunade still make money? Third generation was surprised, his face was full of astonishment. The teacher didn't run away. Kyoshi wanted to laugh, but explained to third generation, it's not a gamble. Oh, that's normal. With her ability, as long as she doesn't gamble, she can make money in any industry. Shisui, this exam, if you can be promoted to Chunin, you must go all out. Master Patriarch, I don't think it's better not to be promoted. The teacher said that a tree that is too tall is easy to be knocked down. I think it makes sense. Besides, Uchiha doesn't need these to decorate the facade. You think so? Then do what you want. In Shisui's mind, the conversation he had with Fugaku last night flashed over and over again. The clan is really complicated. Shisui didn't understand before. But the words that Kyoshi taught Yahiko last time were all secretly remembered in his heart. After returning to Konoha, he observed while exercising, and understood a lot of what Kyoshi said. Partner, enemy. That's right. This is first and foremost. Those people in the clan, many of them are not only partners in the same way, but enemies who are holding back. They are less capable and more thoughtful than the other, not to mention, the simple Chunin exam can be turned into a stage for them to show their muscles. However, is that useful? Shisui is only 5 years old, but he also understands that it is useless. Just like the gap between the land of rain and the big countries, 1 or 2 geniuses are not enough to reverse the fundamental decline. Those old guys in the clan, one by one, regarded Konoha as an imaginary enemy. Sooner or later something will happen. Shisui, I heard that this test is unusual, you must be careful. Silent. Shisui looked up at Obito, his mouth slightly opened in a hesitant attitude, and his expression was a little dazed. Sighed. Yu Hahong couldn't help smiling, and joked. Obito, I think it's you who should be worried. If you ignore the future, you may lose face this time. TCH, there is no Kakashi guide this time, I want to prove myself. Obito gives a thumbs up. That one is self-confidence. However, in the first exam, he was dumbfounded when he saw the test paper. Written examination. Chunin exam. Why is there such a thing? He was instantly numb. In the first exam, Kyoshi did not participate. There is nothing to change in the written test. But the author of the question is Namikaze Minato. Outside. You make the questions very difficult. Are you afraid that Obito will not be able to pass? Kyoshi was curious. Obito's stomach ink is comparable to Naruto's, but his body and ninjutsu are very strong, and he can be regarded as an alternative. Hopefully it made him understand the importance of theory. Minato said. Minato has worked so hard. Bai Yun sighed with emotion in the morning. Kyoshi thought for a while, couldn't help but smiled and said, would it make this child anxious to drive Sharingan? What? Minato froze for a moment. Is it possible? But when you think about it carefully, Obito is full of surprises in all aspects, whether in battle or in peacetime, and his own strength is indeed not weak. Maybe he might really be awakened. At this point, Obito was scratching his head. Very urgent. There are so many questions, none of them will. The brain is really not working. Kyoshi sighed inwardly, and patted Minato's shoulder. It's difficult. It's better to go back to the furnace and recast it as soon as possible. Returning to the furnace may not be a good thing. Obito is big trouble. And there is no such person as Obito in Madara's list now, and Shisui's priority may be much higher than Obito's. But humane destruction is obviously unrealistic. Minato only takes Kyoshi as a joke. Halfway through the exam, many people inside scratched their heads, but some began to cheat by their own means, all of which were seen by the Jonins outside. But ordinary means, just turn a blind eye and close one eye. Obito, it's too much to take a cheat sheet. Let's list him as an alternate. If there are enough people, we will be eliminated, and if there are not enough people, let him join. Third generation said with a smile, Obito. He was very impressed with the kid. In fact, in the hearts of the third generation, Obito is regarded as the second Uchiha Kagami, which is far more important than Shisui, because in the eyes of the third generation, Obito is really kind. He can change Uchiha. Kyoshi narrowed his eyes. Obito. Ah. The words of second generation are very clear. People in Uchiha, after opening their eyes, may go to extremes and become completely opposite personalities. The third generation is not remembered at all. Just imitated a watch. Kyoshi didn't say much. He has a different philosophy than third generation, but fundamentally, third generation is better than that old guy Danzo. If it is that old thief, maybe he is already lying in the laboratory for Konoha's career. This is still worthy of recognition. Time passed quickly. The exam is over. Kyoshi glanced at it, picked up the scroll and prepared to go to the second examination room. By the way, Minato, you should work hard for the second round. When the Jonin is sweeping, you can kill those ninjas who are behind and in everyone's sight. Kyoshi reminded. He will read out the rules later, so he doesn't have so much time to give orders here. Minato nodded, signaling understanding. Subsequently, Kyoshi walks outside. Not for a while. The test results are out. In fact, there is no need to correct more. During the exam, it is obvious which papers have a high probability of passing. The only thing that is beyond the teacher's expectation is Obito. Hand-picked by third generation, substitute. A group of people gathered around the announcement. Obito looked nervous. He felt he couldn't make it through, but he hoped for a miracle. Look at them one by one. No, no, no. His heart is cold. But do you think you can pass the cheat sheet? A familiar voice sounded. Teacher Kyoshi's voice. Really? Obito looked frustrated. When I copied the answer, I was discovered. Obito, look below. Lin was surprised. Obito looked down immediately. Substitute? Alternate genin. Uchiha Obito. Ah? Obito froze for a moment, then was instantly overjoyed. Teacher, I passed. Are you happy? It's too early to be happy. In a group of 3, you'd better count whether the official list is a multiple of 3. If it happens to be a multiple of 3, then sorry, you are just a substitute, unless someone accidentally gets injured and quits. Kyoshi said with a smile. What? Obito's face crumbled instantly. Lin and Shi Hahong SBL *CKM net aside. They have already noticed. There is exactly one missing on top, apparently. Obito's clearance. Something wrong with. Shisui looked at Kyoshi and then outside, feeling thoughtful. But it's a good thing that Obito has passed. He didn't think about it any further. Okay, I said, you guys are too happy. The first test is just a side dish, the second test. I will make you regret passing the first test. Kyoshi's expression remained the same, smiling and amiable. However, his eyes were serious. Everyone held their breath for an instant, stopped making noise, and lined up in this narrow small square in an orderly manner. They all get it. Kyochi is the examiner for the second exam. This is to read the rules. Very well, then. The scroll unfolded, and the map emerged. I'll give you a minute to remember this map, which allows you to use all means other than direct contact. Swish. In an instant, everyone rushed to the front. Map. As a ninja, it is very clear that this thing is very important, and many people's lives may be needed to obtain a map in a war. Intelligence gathering. Now, the exam has begun. This is a competition of intelligence gathering, and it is also a competition of ability. Not for a while. Finish. Asuma, Shisui and Kurenai Yuhi looked at each other. Familiar. So familiar. The teacher's classic means. Just when you thought the exam hadn't started yet, the assessment has already quietly started. Sure enough. The teacher asked the question. They didn't dare to be careless anymore, and the map just now flashed repeatedly in their minds, but. Content. Shisui said something in a low voice. Asuma and Hong were stunned for a moment, and then quickly paid attention to it. Don't be too greedy, just memorize part of the map. 1 minute. Normally, it is definitely enough to memorize a map. But. You can see the location of the map in just 1 or 2 circles. There are 50 or 60 people here. At that moment, it was impossible to persuade other people to extract the map rationally, because they were not teammates at all, but opponents. No solution. Next, first of all, we will confiscate all ninja tools and supplies, and all the things you need for the second assessment can only be obtained from the examination room. Secondly, get ready, the establishment will be disrupted later. Kyochi looked at everyone with a smile. There was an uproar at the scene. Disrupt the establishment? This means that the original teammates may not be teammates in the future, but enemies. So, the information they gathered. They all looked at each other in blank dismay, not knowing what to say for a moment. Yuhi Hong looked at the 2 teammates, each speechless for a while. The taste is so right. This bad taste is so strong that one can see the source at a glance. The rest of the information was shown on the map before, so I won't go into details. My lord, what should I do if I don't see clearly? If you don't see it clearly, it means you can't do it. You can't even see the map information clearly within a minute. What qualifications do you have to be a chunin? There was silence. Some people were very angry, but they couldn't find a reason to refute. Kyochi didn't give them a chance to continue talking, and waved for everyone to go to the examination room. Death Forest. On the way, the atmosphere was silent. Shisui gestured with Asuma and Kurenai Yuhi. Obito was not far away, his eyes lit up when he saw it. Guard code. His eyes lit up, he pulled Lin to jump over, and gesticulated wildly with Shisui. But. Hit halfway. He forgot how to type a code word. It's embarrassing. Fortunately, Shisui understood his intention, replied the gesture, and nodded slightly. It's not hard to guess. Nothing more than taking care of Lin and the like. Obito himself doesn't know how to write the word, fear. At this time, many people are on guard against each other. But. There are also some people who have begun to try to form alliances, especially those who were originally teammates or had a good relationship. Rear. Kyochi and Might Dai followed closely behind. Kyochi. What's wrong with your brain? There are too many bad ideas. Might Dai was full of emotion. During this exam, he watched as a guard and gave him shelter at critical moments. So. He doesn't know Kyochi's overall plan, just like the genin, he gradually learned. All of these, I don't know if Guy can do it, anyway, he is not very good. Dai knows what he is capable of. Although he has good physical skills and has 8 inner gates, he does not have the quality and knowledge reserves that Shunin and Jonin should have. After seeing this exam, he has this idea even more. Nothing, I'm just standing on the shoulders of giants. It makes sense, this is youth. Silent. Got sick again. Kyochi ignored Might Dai's sudden agitation, and focused more on the group of genin in front of him. Smart or not, it can already be seen at this time. Many have secretly allied themselves. Dismantling the team naturally not only tests the command and temporary cooperation, but also tests the overall scheduling. If 3 people can be assigned to 3 teams and hold the command of the 3 teams at the same time, then it is possible for them to unite and wipe out other teams first. In the game, this kind of gameplay is naturally not possible. But it is very common on the battlefield. Life and death fight, who will tell you the morals of the world? If you don't even have this concept, get out early. Kyoshi chased to the vicinity of the Death Forest, but did not continue to chase. It's too tiring to rush to watch the live action. Find third generation. Third generation's telescope technique is the best tool for live broadcasting, and there is no need to run around to see the situation. As for rescue, doesn't this have Minato and medical classes? No need to do it yourself. Grown-ups, if you don't supervise the examination room, what are you doing here? Third generation looked at Kyoshi strangely. Although he was also at the scene, he was quite a distance away from the Death Forest, and it would take a little time to rush there. Generally speaking, the chief examiner will be around to invigilate the exam. Kyoshi chuckled and said, "There is Senior Minato over there, so there is no need for a junior like me to contribute. I heard that you have a kind of ninjutsu that can be used to detect through space. It has no other meaning, I just want to see it." Silent. Third generation is speechless. Telescope technique. This ninjutsu, it's a bit hard to say. Just such a small hobby, all the juniors know about it. He coughed lightly in embarrassment and said, "Okay, it's also a good choice to use the telescope technique to monitor the Death Forest. You can see it from multiple directions. My lord, I have prepared a big mirror for you." Kyoshi took out the scroll of sealing, and took out the huge mirror sealed inside. Third generation was speechless for a while. After a long time, he still performs spells, using the telescope technique to map the distant state onto the mirror. While ninjutsu requires a little variation, Sarutobi Hiruzen is no problem. Kakashi's eyes widened. This technique. Amazing. In this way, from the mirror, you can switch to see what happened in the dead forest. The only problem is, Mr. Hokage seems to have become a tool for broadcasting. Lu Ju blushed for a while. Newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. Only Kyoshi dared to make such a request, and they all pretended that they didn't know that third generation had such ninjutsu. At this time, on the screen, the first thing to appear is Uchiha Obito. This team is Obito, Yamashiro Aoba and Might Guy. This team is quite strong. Although Might Guy is not good at other jutsu other than physical jutsu, he is good at it. Obito can make up for the vacancy in ninjutsu, and Yamashiro Aoba is good at scouting. Ding Zuo pondered for a moment before commenting. Obviously, he doesn't know much about the makeup of the team. Bai Yun understood it very well in the early morning. Seeing this situation, he sighed softly, having seen failure. Obito, Guy. Can this be divided into one piece? Senior Ding Zuo, you only know one thing, not the other. This team is really strong on paper, but their problem is that 3 people can only gather 2 brains together. Kyoshi couldn't help smiling. Minato put them together, which is really a bit messy. Kakashi thought about it carefully, and felt that Kyoshi's comment was really accurate and vivid. Guy and Obito. The 2 of them only have half a brain. I have memorized the map. First go to get the resource point, and then. What resource points do you want? Look for enemies, kill the first team first. Oh. My blood is burning. Witnessing this scene, third generation was speechless for a while, deeply doubting its own judgment. Obito. Could it really be a second Uchiha Kagami? Sorry, I overestimated them. Obviously, they couldn't figure it out.